Action Army, and the trigger mechanism and the pins, the whole 9 yards, replicated it in CAD. And then I did a spectrum analysis on it, on what it takes to break it.
And hello, everybody. We are back. And wow, we have 27 people in here already.
Heck yeah. I don't know about you boys, but it's feeling like a long time since we've done this.
Yep. Over a month. It was
But people are saying now, why don't they write?
Probably. Now let's go through who we got in here. And tonight's not a real special stream, guys. It's just kind of a getting back in the swing of things for us because, like I said, we got a little rusty there. Diane Houston's in, and she said, hello, I hope you had a great wheat harvest. And 11 Bang Bang, that's Ethan, actually. He's out there. His wife is having a baby right now, so he's not on stream. He named the last one Jeremiah Johnson, so I'm kind of wondering what he's going to name this one.
Snapper.
If he names it Duke, I'll buy him a cigar.
Name it Duke, yeah. Gunsmith 4570's out there. Said, hope everyone had a fantastic holiday. Oregon Outback, did you harvest the whole wheat or was it just a white bread thing? We'll talk about that later. It was a weird wheat harvest. William said, I'm from Bear Valley.
They only harvested the gluten-free wheat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Louisiana
no.
Gray, ready for and awaiting some good entertainment. Glad to see you, fellas. Glad to see you too. Hardy's in. He said,
Yeah.
hello, you silly humans. Harmony Moss is in. She says hello.
Hello.
John Hope. I hope I pronounced that right. Said hi.
Pop.
Andrew View. Andrew said hello. Red Viper 78. Hi. He said howdy, fellas. Stephen N. Man said top of the evening to you girls. The Mountain Man has entered the room.
Hi, Mountain Man.
He just made a stomping cartridge for his rifle. You guys go check out Stephen M. Man's channel. Kind of
That reminds me, I got to send him a holster.
Hardy wants to know what happened to Duke being Chief Hooplehead. Duke is Chief Hooplehead over on Tales of the Trails, which is a different show.
Yeah, I'm chief of the louts over here.
But that kind of brings us to something here, guys. We are no longer, I'm going to kind of rebrand this thing since it's all three of us who've done so much work on this with Duke doing research and Snapper does a lot of the helping bring people in and everything. We're going to kind of rebrand this. It's no longer are we going to be the 11 Bang Bang Reload show. We're just going to be the Reload show because we're all working here on this. And so we're going to have to make a new intro again.
How about the snappy 11 Duke Bang show?
I think that's pretty good right there.
I always like the Snap Duke Bang.
Or the
Sounds
Snap
like
Duke
something
Bang,
terrible
yeah.
just happened. But yeah, so yeah, it's going to be all of our shows, kind of sharing it since it's on all of our channels. At Laddle Man is in. He said, welcome back, fellas. iPod Walker said, hi, guys. Louisiana Gray said, where'd he go? Congratulations, Ethan. Another one. Stephen M. Man said he would suggest Joseph Meek. Mill Creek Range is in. Guys, go check out Mill Creek Range's channel if you get a chance. It's a good channel over there. The Saboteur 45 said howdy.
Hey, Saboteur.
Garza Vlogs is in. He said, evening, old boys. Haven't seen you guys in a long time. I don't know what to say about this, but Hardy said you can't see it, but Duke is imitating my facial hair and I demand royalties.
Me and the beard trimmer got in a fight.
Shot Shula's in. He said, every evening, gentlemen. He said, what's topic tonight? No real topic. I threw that wheel lock up there because kind of in wheel lock mode. But
Yeah.
we got Slocos in, and there we're done. So why don't we just kind of talk about what we've been up to, Duke? What you been up to this last month? We haven't hardly talked a lot.
Not a heck of a lot. Just trying to survive. Trying to catch up on holster orders, and it seems like every weekend I get time to do it, something comes up.
Well, I hear you're
So-
really ripping and roaring in your holster orders. You got a lot going on.
Yeah, I got 40 of them that were ordered, and I said I would have delivered by the end of May, 1st of June, and here we are after the 4th of July, and I'm still sewing on them.
It happened.
What do you got going, Snapper? You've had quite a busy June, huh?
Yeah, it's been a weird one. It was the son's birthday. Also moving a bunch of stuff. Like my house literally looks like it's all packed up and moved. And all it is just stuff from my parents' old house that I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with. And being dumb and buying guns and getting yelled at. That's about it.
You want to tell us about your latest purchase? No?
I don't know. I do, but I mean, some people know. I've told several people, so I guess it's not a big deal. But maybe we should ask the audience what they think I bought.
What do you guys think
And then we'll go
Snapper bought?
A gun.
A gun.
Yeah, it's a gun.
I want to go boom. It goes Duke Snap Bang.
That sounds like a flintlock. Speaking of flintlocks, you can't hardly see it, but I had one of my first true flintlock mishaps the other day, right there on my arm. I had my nephew over, and I was trying to help him. He'd never shot one, so I was fooling around with the Brown Bess, and I told him, no, don't pull the trigger. Everything was kind of set up there, and I didn't put him on half cock, and I was adjusting the gun for him. About the time that I moved my arm over that pan, he pulled the trigger, and that is... People want to know why cavalry guys shoot their pistols sideways. That's so your horse's head don't wind up looking like that.
My flintlock pistol got me once too, pretty good. I was actually letting my son shoot it, and that's actually how it got me.
Yep. Duke, any horror stories about flintlocks? That's not too bad a horror story. That's just a little flat pan fly.
No, just when I demonstrating a flintlock one time with the Forest Service, I had because the flint was pretty worn out, but it was still sparking really good. But it was worn out to the point that it wasn't kicking the frizzen open all the way, and went down and it bound up, and the flash went off, and instead of going up and out, it went up, hit the frizzen, and then come back right into my face.
Nice.
But I know a Remington rolling block that did that to me too. So.
Yes, I do. And we had that happen twice, and never had any of the other shells do it. You guys got to be careful getting 43 Spanish brass modern made stuff. Not all necessarily made to spec of the original guns. Either that or the original guns aren't all necessarily. But yeah.
Right.
I've actually read that in quite a few places, people getting modern brass and separating the heads.
Somebody told me you can use 43 Win Mag. Or 343 Win Mag. Or no, 430. Whatever that one Winchester Magnum case, because we found a whole bunch of them at that gun store there in Guernsey that day. They're the exact same case. But it's a Win Mag version of it.
So you think it'd be thicker walled? So it'd be handle higher pressure, thicker walls.
I think you have to turn the rim down a little bit. Because the rims are a little thick. But other than that, that might be a better way to go. Because if it's rated for Magnum, it'll handle black powder.
Yeah.
The good news is that Remington rolling block did exactly what it's designed to do. It's not going to let it hit you in the face.
Yep.
Pretty stout action. But yeah, that's just one of those things you got to watch out with getting these obsolete cartridges. But man, much as I love 43 Spanish, I would love to have that. What is the other one? It's a 4477.
Yeah, 4477 sharp bottleneck.
A civilian model rolling block in 4477 because they're both basically identical. And when you hit, you really hit.
For as low recoil as a gun has, that bullet is screaming.
And I haven't decided if it's because it's got 80 grains behind a little bit lighter bullet than 45-70. I think it's the bottleneck. I think
Yeah,
the
the
bottleneck
bottleneck gives it a little more pressure, so it has a little higher velocity. But yeah, the old buffalo hunter said that thing would punch right through a buffalo in one side and out the other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of one of those that, yeah, it was just the perfect cartridge, but then they started getting bigger and beefier cartridges that, you know, knock them down a little faster.
So I've been trying to study on 50-70 because you know, it's been one of my favorite rounds here lately. And I know I don't say all of it. I know most of the military stuff about 50-70. But I got to wonder how many sharps were actually being produced in 50-70 for buffalo hunting, or was that mostly the converted carbines?
There was the carbines, converted rifles. There weren't a lot of rifles at the time. A lot of them were left over from Civil War and such, but there was a bunch of conversions. Then they were produced 50-70, 50-90, and 50-100. And I found out the 50-100 and the 50-90 are the exact same case. They just crammed 10 more grains of powder in it.
Well, the thing is, the 50-90 is what they call the sharps, the big 50, you know, that's the 50-90. And that's kind of what I was wondering. It seems like around 1871 or so, the 50-90 takes off. And I wonder if did they just feel like the 50-70 was underpowered for buffalo at range or what?
It just gets it a little bit further out there. But in reality, the most popular buffalo hunting cartridges, the first one's a 4477 bottleneck, and then the 45-110. But the 110 came in quite a bit later. The 45-90 came in later. There was the 44-90, which was a tapered case. That one was fairly popular, but they said it had an extreme recoil to it. But yeah, 50-70, I think it's one of those that Baines the government had. There was a lot of those cartridges around. And once the military adopted the 45-70, you see a lot of 45-70s used buffalo hunting as well.
Okay.
With that buffalo hunting, how far were they usually shooting?
200 to 300 yards.
Well, it seems like it changes. It seems like, from what I've read, in the northern herd, they're shooting way farther than when they first started in the southern herd. Because it seems like in the southern herd, the Sharps carbines are actually doing the job in 50-70.
Oh, yeah, and there was buffalo hunters that were taking them down with Spencer carbines. Yeah. But yeah, the general practice is, you know, when they'd leave camp in the morning, the skinners would go out with a wagon. Whoever was the hunter or the shooter that day would run out with them until they could spot a herd out. And then the hunter would go out, ride up, you know, within 400 or 500 yards of the herd, get off the horse, and then take a rifle and the cartridges and try to crawl within 200 yards and set up and then start shooting. And the thing about the buffalo was if they smelled the hunter, they were gone.
Mm-hmm.
If they saw the hunter, they were gone. Of course, buffalo don't have that good eyesight. But when they'd sit there and start popping off them buffalo, they'd start getting nervous. But the sound of that gun never really seemed to bother them because they'd sit there and one guy said they killed like 30 some in a setting. I think the max I read was like close to 70 in one setting was killed. But the thing of it is, if you don't have the skinners to come in and skin all those, you're wasting your bullets and, you know, losing perfectly good hides because once the wolves get in there after dark, you ain't going to have a good hide to take off of it.
Yeah. I was just saying, as far as the Spencer carbines go, because I do have that record and it's actually back in our Flower Pot Mountain video of the guy crawling up the side of the hill and finding a big bull buffalo on top, and said he felt undergunned with his Dragoon pistol and his Spencer carbine. And as his stories later on, rifle in 1870, so that's pretty far along, and he was still using that for a buffalo gun. But
I think Uncle Dick Wooten said, you know, when he was hunting out of, I think it was Bent's Fort, he killed 30 in a day in one setting with a muzzle loader.
Yeah. And the guy went by the Pilgrim Bard. I can't remember his real name, but he hunted around here a lot. He talked about being able to tailor your load for your distance. And that was a big thing for him. Make that load in a muzzle loader. But obviously, not many other people. Everybody else seems like they had Remingtons and Sharps. And a few trapdoors. Stephen M. Mann says, you see my Independence Day short? Was that the one with God Bless America again? I did see that. Louisiana Grace said, yeah, the Duke has me into making holsters now on my one for my Walker, currently working on one for the 51, and I made a sheath for a knife. Not looking too bad for a greenhorn. Stephen M. Mann question, there's a gun store in Guernsey now?
There was. So the guy was renting a building and got tired of renting it, so now he's moved it to his ranch, which is just outside of Guernsey somewhere there. But yeah, there was a gun store in Guernsey. There's 2 in Torrington. One's open. I've yet to go in that gun store because it's open when they feel like opening it, and that's never on a day I'm there.
I think I went to all 3 of those.
We tried to on the one because they were closed that day. But the other one in Torrington that we went to, he sold shop, closed up, and they got a new guy running the shop down there now. Yeah, there's a couple in the area.
Yeah. Is it mostly newer guns, or are they actually antique gun? How is it? Mostly newer stuff?
Newer stuff, yeah. The oldest thing I seen in there model wise, he had like 4 Rossi 92s in various calibers.
I like that gun.
Yeah.
Most gun stores, they won't even like sell used guns. It has to be brand spanking new, or they won't even consider it.
That's a problem out here in Wyoming. If you do that for your entire business, you will go broke.
You would think so. But there's one little hole in the wall store here in Vegas that they mostly buy and sell and trade. And
right.
You get the neatest stuff go through there.
Most of the gun stores here do consignment.
Yeah. There's, speaking of that gun store in Vegas, Diane Houston said, did Snapper buy a Colt Walker?
No, not yet. Not yet.
He has a replica.
I have a replica one, though, with a shoulder stock on it. It's actually a lot of fun to put a shoulder stock on a Walker. I highly recommend it.
Soylent Green said, uh-oh, these troublemakers are back at it. Kodak Tackman said, howdy, y'all. Soylent Green said, currently building RB mid-range Creedmoor model in 4065. A rolling block mid-range, sorry. Creedmoor model in 4065. Would have done 4477. I didn't already have a 4590 Shiloh Sharps on the way.
There you go.
And an 1885 4570, 4477 brass, hard to find also, definitely.
Yeah.
Even the 43 Spanish version, it's $7-8 a shot. It used to be $7. I bet it's $12 a shot now.
Yeah, I sent a thing to Starline Brass about 5070 and 5650 Spencer. And I guess they're taking orders on it, and next year is when they're going to produce those. Not quite sure on that, but yeah, I was trying to help Garrett find some 5070 brass, and yeah, they were a year out on that.
Yeah. Shotshula asked, Garrett, when are we going to see that new trapdoor? I saw the short. Looking forward to seeing more about those big cartridges and how they compare to the latter 4570. I will tell you this, I've already got a couple videos. I actually got one coming in a couple weeks too. I already made. Luckily, since I've had a few days here, I'm about a month ahead on video, so I make them, and then you guys see them about a month later. But there's one going to be coming on the 68 model trapdoor in 5070, and it's just like the 69. That 5070, when loaded correctly, out to 350 yards is just a nail driver, tack driver. But you get past that, and she starts going all over the place. Worse than 4570. Not that I'm ever going to shoot past 350 yards. I can't even see past 350 yards, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, same here.
But as far as the 5070 goes, if it wasn't for the expense of it, I just fell in love with that. With a compression die, easy to load, super easy to get. The ammo is easy to make historically accurate. The guns, the 5070 trapdoors, it's just something about a trapdoor, all that pinging and popping and getting those cartridges flying all over the place. It's just a ton of fun. 5070 is my new favorite cartridge. I'm really looking for a 5090 Sharps next eventually, because I have a feeling I'll love that one too. But those 5070s compared to 4570, even though it's the same amount of powder, when they hit, especially within 100 yards, it's a crash. It's something completely different.
I still
But
want to
yeah,
see you guys compare a trapdoor against a Martini Henry. So bad.
the Martini Henry would win because you don't have to cock hammer.
Yeah, but
Price wise, if you were talking price for back in the day, that price is a big thing. You gain a little bit of speed for a huge price to make the Martini Henry. But I also tell Ethan all the time, I like all of them. I love rolling block. I love the trap doors. I've never even shot the Martini Henry, but we're going to pretty soon actually. But I love the look of it. Single shots just kind of
something about them. Yeah, I agree.
Yep. But yeah, 50, 70. But if you're talking about the short I made today, that's very interesting because those are 58 rimfire. And I actually have a box here. We're working on making them. And the way you make 58 rimfire, you think a rimfire is a weak cartridge. Well, this is what you make 58 rimfire out of. So what this basically is a 28 gauge brass shot. Is it 28? Yeah, 28 gauge, 2.5 inch brass shotgun shell. You're going to cut about a 1/2 inch off of it. And then you're going to load a 5.85 to 5.90 mini ball in it. And then you're going to, with 60 grains. And basically what you're going to have is a rimfire cartridge that exactly duplicates the ballistics of the Civil War paper cartridges. And so this is probably one of the hottest rimfire rounds ever made. With a regular, basically just shooting the same mini ball in 60 grains. But in order to make it, you have to, these are center fire, so you have to drill them out, tap them, put brass screws in there, solder a brass washer inside of it, drill it out for a 22 blank, and do it that way. And it's a real process, but that's the only way you're ever going to get 58 rimfire nowadays. But yeah, I love that cartridge in that rifle because even though it's a rimfire, that's probably the hottest rimfire they made at the time. iPod Walker said, 11 bang bang. Hey, when you reload black powder cartridges, do you put corn filler in it to take up some of the space if you're shooting low power stuff? Well, I'll let you guys talk about it too, but I'll just tell you not generally. Because honestly, if you're shooting black powder, I have never really downloaded much,
Yeah,
I do, unfortunately, because I don't. It's weird. I know my guns can easily handle it, like full cases load, but I always download it on my original guns. So yeah, I do. I personally use cornmeal. I've also used like a paper punched out of like milk carton style paper. I've used that. That works pretty good too.
cream of wheat is the best.
Cream of wheat's the easiest to use.
In cartridges, yeah. I found that if it's in like a cap and ball revolver and I got to take up the space, that's when I'll probably use a Wonder Wad. Because when you're shooting that low power charge, you're not being historically accurate anyway. A Wonder Wad will take up a little bit.
Yep.
Like the lowest power stuff that I shoot is when I'm trying to replicate 44 Henry and a 45 Colt. And even with just 28 grains, the cartridge is still touching the powder. You're just not compressing it. So
right.
I don't use it very often. I guarantee you somebody does somewhere, but like with modern brass, like 4570, you have a hard time getting, because it's not a balloon headed case anymore. You have a hard time even getting the 70 grains in there you need. 4555 with a 405 grain bullet, that actually gets right down there to touching. So you don't have airspace. It's just not compressing like if you added the 20 more grains. 20 more grains is compressing in modern cartridges. You download any Duke before?
No. I did try cream of wheat filler in on my Walker because I was loading 40 grains because my Walker just loves a 40 grain with a round ball. I thought, might get some more accuracy if the ball's not being shoved, and then jumped into the rifling. And found out that no, it decreased my accuracy. It was punching clover leaves with the gap in there. So
yeah. All right. So Hardy said, speaking of Remington Sharps, any idea how common military pattern rifles would have been in civilian hands? I don't mean surplus, but somebody just buying the military version.
Not very common.
The only way I can see is somebody dropped the original, like dropped one and so or sold it saying they dropped it. I could see that maybe, but I wouldn't
And
think.
go to Fort Larned and check out a gun and don't turn it in.
Or that, yeah.
That's what Buffalo Bill did.
Buffalo Bill.
But that's interesting. That's an interesting question because as far as U.S. military goes, I don't think that they made 10,000 at least adopted rolling blocks for the military in 71 and 72. And at that time, the New York Guard, I believe it was.
National Guard. Yeah.
Yeah, they actually had some of theirs made and they bought direct. And they even had some other people make them. They just used Erskine Allen's design that he changed in the rolling block because actually U.S. rolling blocks that were adopted are a completely different animal than all the other rolling blocks because a regular standard rolling block, you have to cock the hammer to full cock, open it, put your cartridge in, and then close the block. And that's like the 43 Spanish, everything. You're on go. No safety. As soon as you close that block, you're hot. Whereas Erskine Allen developed a system where when you close the block, the hammer will fall to a half cock that the other guns don't even have. And that's his own deal.
Mm-hmm.
He also put basically an ejector system in it. Even though it doesn't shove them out real hard, it gets them out. And so when you talk about American military style guns, those would only be made basically by Springfield. And I don't think there would be any just buying the military version per se. And maybe they sold some parts later on, and maybe Bannerman or Schuler, Hartley, and Graham put the parts together in a military style. But I don't know, Duke can speak more to this than me, but it seems like from what I read, people hated the military 3-band look as far as civilians go. They didn't like that.
No. You see a few of them out there, but yeah, they weren't the most popular. And especially the Buffalo Hunters, because them full stocks don't really allow for the barrel to cool real quick because it's insulated with that wood stock there.
Yeah. I do have a picture there, but I'd have to find it. But I think it's interesting because today when we talk about mil spec, everybody's like, well, my AR is mil spec. Back then, if you said mil spec, they'd laugh at you because you have this made mass production military rifle over here. Say you walked into a buffalo hunting camp, 43 Spanish, do just as good as everybody else, but you've got a little bitty sight up on the barrel. You cannot adjust. You're set for sights in your sight. You only have a 300 regular 300 to 500 and whatever. Whereas old Charlie over here, who has his just standard civilian gun, he's got a bull tang rear sight where he can go up and down, and he can set it where he wants, and it's bull barreled and half stocked and easy to clean. So back then, mil spec meant something totally different compared to what it means now.
Right.
Now, the only difference I could see when it comes to like pistol wise, I know that the military was extremely strict with components they would accept. Mm-hmm. So many Colts you find on the civilian market are just failed U.S. military guns that didn't pass.
Kind of the opposite way in the handgun world, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's kind of strange that way. And I've seen failed parts that I couldn't tell you why it failed. It's like it looks perfect. I have no idea why they failed it. But yeah.
You read about Francis Bannerman in the 1870s when he got to surplus in the 1866 Springfields. He bought them, put them on the market, couldn't move them for a year. So then he goes, hacks the front of them off, makes them all 2 bands or carbine length, and he sells the whole lot in 6 months. Yeah, that's just where the United States was at back then. You couldn't move a military style gun for the most part.
I've always been wondering if a lot of people were scared of buying a military gun on the fact that they think that they might be accused of stealing it. I bring that up because I've heard of that with Colts. Many times where you'll see the U.S. being scratched off or sanded off
Right.
the frames. Like you'll see the inspection markings and everything, but the U.S. logo, even when the single action armies that went to Colt, that were being surplus, they went to Colt. Colt just all they did was sand off the U.S., nickel plate the guns, and sold them on the civilian market.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the guns that you do find that still had the U.S., a lot of civilians removed it just
Mm-hmm.
because they were always worried about. And the reason why Colt even nickel plated those guns was to show that it's obviously not a military gun anymore. So,
Mm-hmm. But look for
I don't
even
know.
example on Colts. Look how many single action armies had their barrels bobbed down to 5.5 inches before the United States artillery deal.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, they did make. That is one thing that a lot. If you look up, they actually did make them as regular artillery models. They just didn't make very many.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people started just cutting them down because the 7.5 inch barrel, you really, as a civilian, you really don't need it.
Yep.
What was it? 80.
Go ahead, sir.
Or 85, they sent, what was it, 1,000 Cav models, 7.5 inch barrels back to Colt, and Colt cut the barrels down.
Yep.
That was the artillery model.
It was 4,000.
4,000, yeah.
The new gun is I believe to be one of those. Or I'm waiting for the factory letter. It's an artillery model single action army with all the inspection markings. A really nice one too. That's what it's actually finally out of all the single action arms I've owned, I finally actually got a real military version. But it's an artillery model, and I think it's probably going to be one of those that was either cut down, but it was made in 1880, and I know in 1880 Colt had already started making 5.5 inch barrels, selling them to the army. So I don't know if this one was a cut down one or not. The way it looks, it was either done by Colt or it was factory made this way, just because the front sight is factory milled. It's not like, Bubba did it, or it even looks better than the ones that they did in the 1890s when Springfield did it, when they mismatched all the numbers. The front sight is extremely clean to be. It was either manufactured that way or Colt did it themselves on their jigs. So
people don't realize, people don't understand today because we're so far removed from it. But there was a time when a firearm, be it a Colt or a long gun, was as important to the people out there as we think of cell phones today. Firearms still that important to us today, but back then it was viewed over the entire West that, having a firearm, maybe not always carrying it in a holster or whatever, but having one at your disposal on the frontier is about like we think today of having a cell phone out there. If I get stuck, I get, the car breaks down or something, we think we got to have that cell phone to call for help. Well, back then you can't call for help. You got to help yourself. So if something happens to you on the frontier, that gun is important. So what we don't realize today is people didn't see them as this is a collectible item I'm going to hand down. They saw it as this is a tool. I'm going to use it till it's unusable. And then somewhere down the line, I'll get another one. And so that's why you see so many of these military, and I'm in the trapdoors right now. So that's why I think about the 5.5 foot 66 model that everybody was buying in 50, 70. You're going to leave that thing 5.5 feet and drag it all over the world. I mean, Buffalo Bill did, grant you, but you're going to throw that thing in the wagon at that length. Why not just hack 6 inches off the barrel, have it done nice, and have you a nice little two-bander, which, by the way, the military's even using at this point because they discovered they don't need that extra length. So that's what a lot of people don't understand.
It still ties in today. Look at the M16 versus the M4. Everybody was like, oh, I want this M16 back in the day, but now everybody wants the 14.5 inch M4. It's the exact same thing. Shorter is always sexier and better. They've always looked at it that way, and more convenient.
Soylent Green has something probably Duke can talk to. In the Buffalo Harvest book, Frank Mayer had a 4490. I bought a 45-110. Later, he called a 45-120 because he could fit that much powder in the case. But 45-120 came about after Sharps went under.
Yeah, because that was really for the Winchester rifles.
Yeah, and 45-120 and 50-140 came out. Both of those came out really late.
Right.
You know,
They
too
forget
late.
what the 45 120 is. It's like a 16th of an inch longer than the 110 or something, 3/16 of an inch. I can't remember what the measurements are on the case, but yeah. But yeah, I mean, you can cram another 10 grains in that if you compress the hell out of it.
Yeah, just use a compression die nowadays.
Yep.
Okay. Martin Kavanaugh said, "Good day, Snapper, Garrett, and Duke from New Zealand." Well, good day to you too. Hardy said, "Soylent Green, I would be careful with that book. From other sources I've read, they say Frank Mayer isn't that reliable of a narrator." Duke, I'm going to let you have that because I know you read a lot of his stuff.
I don't know the book that particularly is talking on. I don't have
The
it.
Buffalo Harvest book.
Buffalo.
In the Buffalo Harvest.
Yeah, I don't have that book. I don't think. Because I'm pretty sure. Hey, I gotta look at my books here now. See, I got the Buffalo War, and I got a new bookshelf. I threw all my books on it, and I didn't organize them yet. So
Okay. Now this
I
is
gotta look
something
all
I've
over.
never heard. Here, Stephen Mann said Kundal. I don't remember what he's talking about there, but Soylent Green. I've never actually heard this. You can speak to this. He said people would take free 45-70 ammo given to them by the government because they wanted the buffalo gone to starve the Indians. They would replace the powder with higher quality powder and melt bullets to cast their own.
Huh.
And William Schlosser said, "Is that a musket with a hand brace?" We must have forgot what we were talking about. Todd B said, "Hi, guys. Where did everyone disappear to?" Well, we're still all right here.
Been busy.
Been running between 50 and 60, so we're doing pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to kind of run down through here, guys. I'm a little bit behind. Andrew View and sorry if I said your name wrong, but flintlock questions. You're about got to go to Ethan, and he's not here tonight. But he said, "Are there any tips for shooting flintlocks reliably in humidity? My Charlottesville had fire issues firing down here in Florida. It was 95% humidity, though. Got any, Snapper? You don't live in any humidity."
No, I don't even know what humidity is anymore.
Okay, so there's a couple things. Like when you're hunting and it's humid, you got to blow the pan. Well, you don't have to, depending on where you're at. I have the best luck if I blow the pan out like every 10 minutes and reprime. Because, yeah, that stuff soaks up the humidity, especially homemade stuff because there's no graphite in it. Historically, you see people taking a wax, like a beeswax, and rubbing it around the outside of the pan and then setting the frizzing on it hard to water seal it. But that's really all I know about it. You can talk to Ethan about it later, or maybe comment to him. And he
Man,
can
that's
probably
crazy.
give you any answers.
Every 10 minutes. Wow, that's crazy.
That's
a
what
lot
I
of
have to do
humidity.
when it's really humid.
Wow.
Because especially if you're priming with 4, it's worse with 4F than with 3 or 2F when in the priming pan.
It kind of makes sense that, yeah.
And you're not, it's just a, and then I have a
Yeah, a
primer.
little
so
bit
I just
at a time.
and just drop a little bit in there. And
Wow, that's still crazy though to think that it's that hydroscopic. I mean, I know it is. It's just visually
especially
seeing it being that hydroscopic is
it may not be. I mean, if I go an hour, I'll get a flash, or not a flash. I'll just get a ka-chunk or whatever you call it. But
Yeah.
when I'm hunting or something and I want a shot for
no
sure,
need to risk it. Yeah.
I'm going to do it every 10 minutes or so, as much as I can. Iron Wings 3187 said, "How
Hey.
we doing? Renegades and Range Riders. Glad to see the show up and running. Missing your content, boys. Haven't switched over to this account in a minute." Todd B says, "Garrett, where are you finding these rare trapdoors? I never even heard of a 58 rimfire round. Can you reload for it?" Yes, and I kind of already went through that. We're using if you really want to see how to do it, go check out Dr. Durrell Shepard's channel. He has videos on it. And there's actually a couple of 58 rimfires that came out right after the war. The 58, I think it's a Miller, 58 Roberts, and the 58 Allen, which we're using the 58 Allen for Erskine Allen. But yeah, you can reload for it. It is a real process. And government only made 5,005. I messed that up in my short today. 5,005 because they had 5 test guns chambered in 58 rimfire because The way that particular gun works is the cartridge rides in a carriage, and you can almost see Root's hands in the design because him and Erskine Allen were talking back and forth a lot then. The carriage ratchets look just like a 61 Navy or a 60 Army ratchet on the loading lever. And it works about the same, and it's got a hand underneath the barrel and a timed spring, almost like a revolver. And when that cartridge gets back to a certain point, it trips the hand and the spring punches a little rod up through the bottom of the barrel and shoots the cartridge up. The only trouble is when you're doing that with a rimfire, if that gun gets out of time and you're trying to take a live cartridge out and that thing pops up a little out of time and hits the rim, they found they had some real danger issues with that. A gun going off out of battery. But
that's hilarious.
They only made 5,005 of them, and they didn't make very many cartridges for the Allen. Now, the Roberts and the Miller, as far as I can tell, commercially had some more success. But, it didn't last very long. Only lasted 1 year before they decided that center fire was the way to go. As far as where do I get these trapdoors, I kind of hate to tell you. I almost have all of them. Well, I do have all the military ones. We just got the Forager. But I'll just tell you, keep your eye on Gunbroker. That's about the best place to keep your eye out for them. And, look for a good deal. Look for something with layaway, Lock, Stock, and Barrel. The Lock, Stock, and Barrel company, even if they're not on Gunbroker, usually if you call them up, they'll have a few with a layaway program. To be honest, that's basically how we did it all, because this series, we wanted it all put together before we started. And at this moment, we have, between books, uniforms, and guns, we have about $17,000 wrapped up in this series before we're even started. And to some people, that doesn't sound like much. To us, was a huge investment, and we're hoping it pays off as our channel grows. But it's going to take a long time. But yeah, that's the only way we could do it, was with layaway through other companies that are gun auction companies, basically.
That is a really good way for people to get into antique collecting. It's the layaway program. It is brilliant, because these guns are not getting cheaper. They're just not. And I don't ever see them getting cheaper. They're only, every year I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll wait. Every year I kick myself for waiting on something, because every now and then they'll jump up crazy in price, more than like $700, $800 to $1,000 overnight. It feels like. And
honestly, if you're going to ask this question, I should have just given it to Snapper, because his Colt collection surpasses ours in finance. How much it costs surpasses our trapdoor collection by quite a little bit. Well, and I'm not going to go into all that, but I would like to know, what you got, any tips and tricks?
Well, my biggest tips is always keep your eyes open, always, and make friends with every single person you find that's in the same business as you, like that are in the same interest. You'll be amazed what comes out of the woods all the time. Like that new Single Action Army. I mean, that came out of nowhere. It just got traded in, and people were like, hey, I know this guy who obviously he's an idiot because he just loves these things. And, they called me right away, and I was like, okay, I'll go take a look at it. And yeah, it's stuff like that. You'll be amazed what you can find. And there's times you'll find things that are just, you can't believe you found it at the price you found it, or there's things that just come out of nowhere, completely unexpected. Just be friendly to everybody, be open with everybody, help other people out as much as you can, and I promise you that will come back to you in full. I promise it will. That's the easiest way I could put it.
And there's one piece of advice one guy gave me that has made my life so much easier. It just helped out in spades, and that was Duke. What did you tell me about buying guns and books?
Never pay full price.
No, that's not what you told me.
Unless you really
don't even remember, do you?
Well, there's also the spend more on books than you do on the gun.
It. Yep.
And believe me, in this military stuff, you can do it quick.
And the books also give you so much more of appreciation to what you have in your hand. It's so much neater when you can pick a gun up and you see every single marking that's on it and you know what it means. When you can look at a Single Action Army and you know the names of the people whose stamp that is, that actually touched that gun and stamped it. It's pretty cool. I love it. I absolutely love it.
let's talk about books for a second. Snapper, you have a Bible on the mantle behind you. You want to grab that?
Oh,
That's
indeed.
the nicest version
This
of that
is
Bible I've ever seen.
Honest to God, this is the one book that you can't live without if you're a Colt fan. You cannot live without Haven and Belden. Hey, the wife
Holy
got me this one.
crap.
This is the
You seen that?
really
That's what I said. It's a
fancy
nice
one.
one, ain't it, Duke?
I
My
thought
wife
you were
bought me this
legitimately
one.
talking about a Bible.
Well, I mean, it is pretty much when it comes to Colt.
It's a Colt Bible, yeah.
But
Uh-oh.
yeah, no, this thing is. A matter of fact, what's neat about it, I forget the name of this stuff, but I don't know if you guys know from military history, but this silk weave, whatever it is, some really fancy, like pressed silk thing they do to get that, and that's actual real gold plated on the ends, and the book is real gold. Well, I paid a lot of money for this book as a gift, so.
I've only seen one of those online, and yeah, they ain't cheap.
Yeah, it was expensive, but it was one of those things.
You want to see
like,
my beautiful version? If you open it up,
The pages
all the
falling up.
pages fall out.
You know
That's
what?
not-
I need to get that book because every time I'm with this and I'm reading through it, I'm like so close about to fold the page over to find it again. I'm like, whoa, hold on.
Well,
Don't
you got
do
a
that.
ribbon.
Yeah, it's actually got the ribbon.
Yeah. I would never
Yeah,
have
that's a
this
really
if
nice
Duke hadn't
model.
made that video. You probably don't even have your copy, do you, Duke?
Not up here, no.
Not up there. You can get
I
mine
really want to
rebound.
get Kopech's book on the Single Action Army, but man, it's expensive. It's like $500-600 now.
I've been given that for Trapdoor book, not 5. I've gave 3 for one that should have been 5 as a second. But as far as getting into trapdoors, a few months ago, I made a video where because I had like 3 books, and they were all on the 45, 70s, or 73s and forward. And so I asked people if they would help me because I couldn't find any references. And somebody, I think it was Guns and Water or it was By Land and Sea, pointed me to the 4570 Springfield Book 2 instead of Book 1, actually, by Al Fresca. And the bibliography in this is priceless because after buying this book, just reading through it, I now have 14 other books on the subject. The funny thing is, Book 2, and this is not a cheap book, but they should be bought in pairs because Book 2 actually covers the first part of the story. Because they started with the 45, 70 and the 73 and went forward in Book 1. Then they years later came back and Al said, we got to cover, the 5 other guns that nobody talks about. And so starting with Book 2 is the way to go. Or if you can buy them in a pair, do that. But after that, I mean, I think I have 14 books altogether just from reading that book, basically. And I got a couple more on the way. But yeah, books are cool. Books are almost as fun as guns. You all right?
Now,
there,
one
dude?
thing that I am really getting into these days too is make sure your gun collection's insured and make sure everything's listed with its value because something happens to me, I'll be really, really mad if something like, I don't know, Griswold and Gunnison gets sold at like pawn shop value. So
have a list of serial numbers or identifying marks if they don't have serial numbers.
I did that quite a while ago. So if something happens to me, at least the wife has an idea how much the overall collection is worth.
Mm-hmm.
So she doesn't have something stupid happen. That's what's crazy. Like a lot of the guns that I find that are really cheap, it's because somebody brought it into like a pawn shop. Like an artillery model Colt, and I guarantee you they got less than $200 for it. Guarantee it.
Yep.
No, the reason why I had an ugly face there is because I made a mistake and bought one of these Cokes today. That's this League of Legends added flavor, and it tastes like somebody took a blueberry Sprite and poured it in with a Coke, and it's just god awful.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
Hardy said, he's talking back and forth. He said, they say that 45-120 thing, they call different cartridges different names and catalogs based on how much powder was in the case, like Garrett's video earlier on 4580. Yeah, you'll find that the government doesn't do that. 45, or they call that, what do they call that? 485, 2.5, 45, and, the different.
So the civilian market was case length.
Mm-hmm.
Military designation was caliber, powder, bullet weight.
So you get these crossovers, though, because, like, say, 4590, 5090, those are never government cartridges, but
No.
people still call them that just because I guess officially they're known by the case length.
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's what is it? 4570 is 2.4, so 2 4/10. 4590 was 2 and I'm going to screw this up, so I'm not even going to try it. But yeah, they were different. The powder charge thing started coming about a little bit later on when everybody just went to the powder charge.
Yep. It was easier to remember.
Yeah, because the government's the one that started doing that. It was 50 caliber, 70 grains of powder, 365, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then went to the 4570, and the infantry rifle was 4570 405. The cavalry was 4555 405. The 45 Colt was 45 40 250. And then the Schofield was the 45, and I don't even remember the powder charge, but I think it was 230 grain, a little lighter bullet. And then and 80, was it 82? The infantry rifle went to a 500 grain bullet. They tried the 500 grain with the cavalry, and the recoil was too extreme, so they went back to the 405 with it.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Todd
yeah.
B has a statement here that's very interesting. It's something I hadn't thought about until I just read this. More bison were taken with 5070 than by 4570.
Southern
It
herd,
could be.
yeah.
That's what I was about to
Southern-
say. Look at the differences in the years.
Yeah.
It delved
Once you start
deeper,
getting into the northern herds, that's when you start seeing these bigger calibers designed to go further out.
Mm-hmm. So Southern herd, when did they hunt that in basically 70 to 72?
Oh no, it was like they stopped hunting. Well, the big hunt stopped down there in like 77, 78.
Okay.
Yeah, because the 4590 just caught the tail end of the southern hunt.
Yeah.
The northern hunt started right around 82 and went to 88. Each one was just about 6 years in length.
Okay. So the interesting thing here is obviously 5070 is going to be there for the full duration because it's been around since 1866.
Yeah.
4570, even though it's put in the 1873, production on the cartridge doesn't actually begin until 74.
Right.
And you got it. And I don't know about civilian use, but you got to think that it's going to take at least a year or so for the Sharps and Remington and other companies to put them in, because you're not going to get military surplus 1873s in the early Buffalo era. You're just not. They're keeping everything. You're going to get a lot of 5070s and older trapdoors because I believe in 72 is when they started surplus in the 66 to 71 to 72. So you'll see those in pretty quick, and the cartridge was already being made, but I don't know. What do you think, Dick? You think it took them to 75 to 76 to even get the cartridge in demand on the frontier?
There's supposedly 4570s at Adobe Walls.
But didn't that happen in 73?
That was in 74.
Okay, I thought that was in 73.
Yeah, that was in 74. So they were pretty...
Could they have been there afterwards, though, or was that a thing?
It could have been they came in afterwards, but there's so few of them there.
Makes you wonder if somebody shot them 10 years down the road.
Well, it's one of those things. Did somebody shoot it 10 years down the road, or was there one person there? Just one person happened to have
the coolest, newest thing. Yeah.
Well, as a buffalo hunter, would you look at that as something?
The other thing is, I just found the picture of it.
What's that?
Right there, under my finger. That is the 4570 of that time period.
I couldn't make it out.
Okay, it's right there. It's probably hard to see for you all to see, but
yeah,
looking at it, it's got the crimp that holds that primer because it's not a reloadable piece of brass, or I should say piece of copper.
It's got that internal primer that Bernard
Bernard Prime.
Yeah, Bernard, yeah.
Whatever it was, yeah.
Or Benet.
Benet, yeah. Well, whoever that guy was who invented the internal primer.
Yeah, the Benet. Yeah, so there's a 4570, there was a 45 Colt, which I was around. 4490 Sharps Neck, which that one was a heck of a kicking round. That thing is nasty looking, but let's see. Yeah, let's see. So all the pictures of these complete cartridges they've got here is let's see here, is a rimless unidentified. And when they say rimless unidentified, that's probably a good chance it's a Thor. Then there's a 5656, a 5090, 5070. Well, there's about a half-inch difference between them two. 50 Remington pistol. So somebody had a little single-shot Remington pistol there. That's a rolling block pistol. 4570 government, 45 Colt, 4490 Sharps Necked, which I'll point this one out right above my finger there. That is a long, nasty looking round.
I feel like 45 Colt had to come afterwards.
No,
In 73, 74. I mean, at that fight, maybe.
I mean, that one's got that same type of primer, so it's a possibility, but
it's early. I mean, it was the early primer.
Yeah, let's see. There's a 4490 Sharps Necked, 4477 Sharps, or Remington Necked, and a 44 Henry.
What month did that happen in 74?
It was in the summer.
Just take a quick peek here.
Let's see here.
Was there any military forts or anything near Adobe Walls?
There was one.
Fort Dodge, not pretty, about as close.
There was them up in Kansas. There was one or two down in Texas too.
I mean, it's not very far from Kansas to Texas down there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where that one was in Texas. That's on the Red River.
The troops would have been able to have like single action army if they were.
Somebody in the comments, if you know what fort I'm talking about, that's down there in Texas, not too far away. When I say not too far away, it'd be the closest one at that time. Actually, it's closer to Panhandle, Oklahoma. Well, Camp Supply wasn't too terribly far away, but I don't remember if that was open at that point.
I would think that the troopers at that time would have had the single action army by 74 if they're in an area that you think would need it.
Yeah, they started going out early 74.
Yeah.
God dang it. You'd think I could just turn and find the page that says the exact date. June 26th was a night before, so 27th.
I mean, I can see it's possible that there could be a 45 Colt there. I wouldn't say it wouldn't be not possible, but
let me see if I can find the table and see how many of them
right on the edge of it would be possible.
All right, here we go. There's the table I'm looking for. Okay, so that's muskets, that's bullets, that's shot, cartridges, as John Wayne says in the Searchers. You ain't got money for cartridges. 45 U.S. government centerfire. There were 2 rounds at the stable.
Okay.
That's 4570. And then 45 Colt centerfire was 1 round at the stable. So what do you think the chances are that there was an Army deserter there that had brand new,
brand spanking new single action army?
Yeah, so that's okay. Now let's look for the cases. 45 Colt centerfire are 9 at the Rath and Company store. 4570 government centerfire. There's 4 at the M&L store, 1 at the stable, and 1 at the Rath and Company store. So, find the map here of the site. If I can find it. Okay. See if we can trace this little thing. See if it makes sense.
While you're getting to that, dude, I did read this this account in the, I believe it was in 74, 75, and 76 that the military was starting to charge troopers who lost their guns double because they were getting quite a bit of money show up in their hands when their guns were lost.
That was in the Civil War too. Happened a lot with the 61 Navy.
Yeah. And there's a possibility too, some trooper sold that off.
Well, yeah, I was about to say they charged them $20 for a 61 Navy that was lost, but since there were no 61 Navies on the civilian market yet, they brought $40 on the civilian market.
Yeah.
So they were gladly paying their $20 fine and
Could you
pocketing the other
imagine
20.
the price you could get out of a single action army in early 74?
Yeah.
I guarantee you could have got a lot of money for one.
Well, here's the thing, and I'm trying to find my rifle. They made 5 test 1873 rifles in 1873. And I'm looking for the exact date of the rifles. But, like, let's see here. Okay, so
Okay. So there's
soldiers.
Stable. Hyde Yard, Dixon Grave. Sorry, I'm reading myself.
Yeah, we'll get back to the chat here in a second, guys, but I got to find this.
So
The trouble
While
is,
they're
most
reading
of
that
this is in
stuff,
book
guys,
one.
while they're reading that, we're gonna have a video coming fairly soon. Everybody in the chat on that little guy right there. The information that me and Garrett have pulled up from that little guy right there, you guys are gonna find to be astonishing. I mean, it's everything's falling in place, and there's a lot more than just coincidence that keeps happening. And we're pretty sure we've narrowed down most of the history of that little guy right there. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be pretty interesting.
But for sure, down there in that southern, especially in the early 70s, there was definitely a lot of 50-70 rounds. Because the government rounds, 50-70 U.S. government ammunition that was found there were 30 bullets. And there were a handful of rimfires mixed in with those. There were 30 found at the M&L store, 3 found at the mess hall, 3 found at the stable, 27 found at the Rath and Company store, 5 at the saloon, and 2 in the blacksmith shop. And the only thing that even comes close to that is, let's see here. Well, there's nothing that even really comes close to that other than 44 Henry rimfire. And they found 15 at the store, 1 at the stable, 3 at the Rath and Company store, and 6 at the saloon. But just because they found handful of cases, those could have came in a little bit later on, but there may have been that one guy there.
Well, here's the thing. The first 45-70s, they made 5 test 45-70 1873 rifles for the cartridge. They made 5 of them, it looks like, in November of 1873. They didn't begin to make the actual military production until January of 1874. And everything I'm seeing right here says that the first ones actually went out to U.S. military in July of 18... let's see. I may be wrong there. It looks like July of 1874 might be the date that they start sending them out. Now, I may be wrong because I'm actually reading a Crybeam page here, actually. But at least on the carbines, they don't get them out until July of 74.
Right.
So you would think that, and the army model will be in book 1, unfortunately. I have to go look through another book. But at least on the carbines, they don't get them out till July. So you got to think it's about the same amount of time, maybe a little earlier on the rifles.
Right.
So it could be there. Northwoods Cowboy 1876 said trapdoor against a Snyder. Don't get me wrong, I love the Snyder, but the trapdoor is going to win that. because the trapdoor has.
I
ejection.
remember it. I think Allen had something to do with the design of the Snyder too.
Yeah, it is actually a trapdoor. The door just swings sideways instead of forward, and it has an
Allen. Oh, sorry.
I was about to say the reason it beats it is because the trapdoor kicks it right out. The Snyder brings it back into the tray, and then you got to roll the rifle upside down to get the cartridge out.
Yeah.
So,
if I remember right, Erskine Allen didn't get a fair shake as far as he was concerned, and so he went over and helped develop that Snyder. If I remember reading right, or from maybe I'm thinking of a different.
Yeah, that
guy.
might be something. I mean, he worked for Springfield his whole life, definitely during the Snyder period. But he did actually. You're thinking of Maynard.
Maynard, yeah, that's right.
Maynard, because Maynard actually sued Erskine Allen and the government because he made a trapdoor that went sideways instead of forward, and he thought that the entire idea of the trapdoor was. Yeah, the government was sued bad over the trapdoors for about 20 years before they finally resolved it and said Maynard had no legs to stand on. And by the time it was done, Erskine Allen was dead.
Right.
So, Shot Sheila said 22 blanks in the rim. Yes, that's what we're doing for the 58 rim fires. Louisiana Gray said, yeah, I was curious how that rim fire was going to work. Go look up Allen Type 1 conversion, Dr. Durrell Shepard. He has a great channel. I'd love to have him on sometime.
I love his channel, by the way. That is a channel that's like definitely needs more subs. Very good channel.
Turkey Creek 1823 said, I'm here. Missed the first half hour. Yeah, we didn't talk about too much important. Wagon said, glad you fellas are back. Shot Shula said, I've used cream of wheat for my Snyders, even though I use the full military load. The 24 gauge brass just has more interior space. But in my Martini Henry, I use cotton wadding and grease cookie. Lone Dragoon said, hello all, glad I made it.
Hey.
Hardy said, the reason I ask is I understood the 1874 Sharps wasn't adopted by the Army. No, it was not. Yet Sharp still is made in 1874 in the military pattern. You might have to talk to Duke about that because not the 1874, but Sharps did make a full-length rifle during the Civil War, but it was a paper cutter.
Mm-hmm. And actually, the 1874 Sharps is actually the 69 Sharps. The 1874 model was the one they submitted to test in 4570. So the 74, really, the main thing that changed that was that 4570. And there was a couple other smaller changes, but if you look up the 1869 Sharps and put them side by side, looking at them, you can't hardly tell the difference.
Yep. And I'm sure they tried to make a few to sway maybe another military. They were watching what Remington was doing. Remington didn't necessarily win the trials. Some people say they did, but I don't know that they did because there's definitely issues the government had with the rolling block, such as that whole thing of always being on fire as soon as you shut it. The higher bore axis, some soldiers didn't like that. Contrary to popular belief, it actually jammed just as much as the Springfield did because they both use brass or copper cartridges.
Yeah,
you're gonna both of them are gonna jam when they get hot and sticky. They both did. So the thing about the Sharps is it was overall everybody loves the Sharps.
Yep.
You know, it's reached mythical proportions, shall we say today. Maybe it's not as good as some people make it out to be. But the fact of the matter is, it almost cost twice what Trapdoor did to make. Better gun, but expensive.
Yeah, the Sharps definitely was the better gun.
Let's see. iPod Walker said, 11 Bang Bang, any hope of you guys getting a haul? Oh, maybe someday.
Oh,
you never know what we're going to show up with.
They keep saying they want to do the Trapdoor series, but I keep telling them they just need to do the Springfield series.
Well, the haul wouldn't necessarily be in the Springfield series.
This is true, but I'm trying to get them to get all the muzzleloader in Springfield.
Be in the Harper's Ferry series.
They got the Charlottesville covered.
Nevaeh said, hi, Garrett. The thing of it is, I got to do the research. I got to have the drive and the desire to do it. And my drive and desire right now only cover so many years. AR American said single action Army 4 3/4 barrel is my favorite barrel length.
Yeah.
Soylent Green said, yeah, Snapper. I was watching Hitchcock 45 recently video in 1911 A1. He bought from World War II vet who served in the Pacific. The vet tried to scratch the U.S. property mark off. Wonder why. The Saboteur 45 said, then there will be me with a Belgian Bulldog because I can't afford a Colt. You'd have double action, man.
Those Belgian Bulldogs are pretty nice guns, though.
AR American said he'd forget his wallet before he forgot his gun. Yep. Steven Sheets said, hey, Garrett. Hi, everyone. Iron Wings 3187 said, managed to get my hand on a couple Savage 99s, Ruger number 3 and 3040. Cool. And a Bicentennial Smith & Wesson 28. Pretty sweet prices. That's a pretty good deal. All right. This is a good question. Todd B said, should I buy an 1874 Sharp from Chiapa? How you want to pronounce it? It's cheaper.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper. I'm getting ready to buy it's Army Sport, but it's made by Chiapa. 63 Sharps conversion off a friend of mine. They do okay, and I'm just getting mine for living history purposes.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to have mine favored out to 45.90 when I get it.
Yeah,
I
would love something like that.
That'd be fun.
Stephen M. Mann, talking about Still in the Pan, I believe, said paraffin wax works for him. Soylent Green said the Buffalo Harvest by Frank Mayer is $99 on Amazon, but Shiloh Sharp's website has copies for $10 still. Short Buck, an interview of Frank in 1958. Ooh, he lived a long time. Mill Creek Range said, man, the humidity has been terrible here in Alabama this week. Rainstorm almost every day with temps in the 90s. Ooh. Sauna.
Well, you know, I'm sure you guys hate that, but I'm telling you, when you've been in the desert and all you ever get is sunny, bright blue skies every single day, 365 days a year with about 15 minutes of clouds and a couple sporadic 3-second showers, I miss rain so much.
Move to Wyoming.
Everybody goes outside and looks up like it's holy cow, like Moses just parted the ocean, you know?
Move to Wyoming. We've had rain, more rain this year than we've had in the last 2 years.
I miss rain so bad, so much. The smell of rain, the smell of grass. I miss it.
Yep. Stephen M. Mann also said he's used paraffin wax to help on the nipple of a percussion lock as well. I never thought about that. Okay, so oops, sorry. Let me pick up here. Geek Gnome. He said, I regret not picking up a rolling block of 43 Spanish when they were $2.99. Yeah, you're going to pay twice the gun, though, in the reloading components, and they're still not that great. I can tell you that right now. Diane Houston said, have you considered getting a Smith carbine 50 caliber? I bought one this past winter, and they are a great carbine, part of the Civil War. I'll let you guys say what you want. But, yeah, I've considered it. I love that cartridge. I love that. What is it? A gutta-percha cartridge, rubber cartridge.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to. We thought about it, and we wound up with a Merrill. But, yeah, I'd love to get one someday just so you could have it.
Truly, I'd love to have almost every single gun through the Civil War all the way up to the Cowboy.
Ever made.
Every single one. Ever made.
How about every gun ever made?
I would love that, too. If I was a billionaire, all I would do is have the Cody, firearms museum will just be in my basement.
Yeah.
That'd be the only difference.
You have any thoughts on the Smith carbine, Duke?
Not really. Never played with one.
Well, actually, I never have either, but I've studied them a little. They're pretty cool.
I've studied them. They're pretty neat. I think the rubber bullet is kind of the rubber cartridge is really cool idea.
Yeah. Soylent Green said of your Haven and Belden, he said that book is better built than my house.
It was ridiculously priced. I think that this book, when it first came out, it was like $600-700. It's ridiculously priced. And I think my wife paid like $300 for this one.
Yeah. Texas 1836 said, welcome back. Mill Creek Range is, how about all the trapdoor books from Richard Holmesmere? Yes.
Yes.
A review on these. Actually, the other one's in my room because I've been reading it. Yeah. I got all of them. These are great. he has his email address on the back, and he will help you out if you ask him a question. That's what's really cool about it. And these aren't very old. The information is very up to date. This is where I found out about the Washington Guard using the 58 rimfire. But yeah, very good books, not in depth on each gun, but a very good source, as each chapter is a gun, and they're short chapters. But he not only covers the trapdoors, he's going to cover the rolling blocks, all of them. There was a bunch of military different style rolling blocks adopted. Rolling block Navy cadets. There's Jocelyn conversions, the Model 71 Remington rifle, the Model 1871 Springfield rolling block. I mean, just all kinds of stuff in here. Here we have the Spencer in 58 and 50. A Spencer can, I don't believe I've read on that one. It might not be converted center fire, but we got the Sharps, the Model 1870 Sharps right there. Whole chapter on it. Just everything and anything you could ever dream of is in these books. And one of my favorites that you don't ever hear about very often is the let's see if this is it. Yes, the Ward Burton single shot bolt action 4570. And the carbines, little slick little carbines, bolt action single shots. Custer actually carried those on the Yellowstone campaign in 73? 72, Duke? When was the Yellowstone campaign?
Yellowstone campaign?
Mm-hmm.
Or you mean the Yellowstone expedition?
Yellowstone expedition, I believe.
That was in 73.
Yeah. Okay.
Yellowstone campaign was in 76.
Okay. So the Yellowstone expedition, the 7th Cavalry carried bolt-action single-shot 4570s.
That's pretty cool.
Or what was that? Not 4570. It might have been 5070. I got to look
This
again.
is the book for the Yellowstone campaign, and it's written by Jerome Green.
Yeah. 5070. Sorry, single-shot bolt-action 5070s carried in the Yellowstone expedition. And it's kind of funny when you read about it. A whole lot of those got lost in boating accidents and never came home. They said, give us back our Spencers. And they said, okay, here's your Springfield trapdoor carbine. Todd B said, I thought the southern herds were wiped out by 72. You sure that you said 76 though, didn't you, Duke?
What's that?
Todd B said he thought the southern herd was wiped out by 72.
No, in fact, here it is. Here's a quote from the guy. This is the one that really started everything. J. Wright Moore, the Moore brothers. The other one was JW2. I can't remember what his was, but yeah. So it says here, in the wintertime of 1871, spring 1872, Lobenstein appraised Charlie Rath of the fact that an English firm had asked for 500 buffalo hides to be used as an experiment in making leather, and if successful, they would take an unlimited number of the hides, which would be open up an immense trade and a new kind of leather to be placed on the markets of the world. Among others, I was now killing buffalo for the meat and became interested in the enterprise and agreed to enter actively into the work of killing buffalo, and thus furnished my pro rata of the first 500 hides.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when it starts, is in 72. Now, there was a lot of hunting going on prior to that because, the railroads are coming out. They're starting to hunt meat and stuff. I think it was 73, the herd heads south because most of the hunting's in Kansas, those early days,
Mm-hmm.
Southern Kansas, down there where Garrett's at.
That's what they were doing here.
Yeah, there's a lot of hunting going on there.
Somewhere around Garrett, pretty much.
And then the herd moves south. Now, when the herd moves south, once you cross that Kansas line, that is Indian territory, clear into the Texas Panhandle. And that was not open to hunters. Well, when they start the war, the Buffalo War of 1874, which this is the one book that I've been reading up on that one. That's when the government, they go to war with, the natives down there, the Kiowa, the Comanche, the Southern Cheyenne, Southern Arapaho. And they figure, well, best way to fight them is, that scorched earth, because you still got Sherman and all them running everything. And so part of that is to cut their food supply. So they let the hunters go in there, and that's why in 74 you have that Battle of Adobe Walls, because the natives are like, hey, these hunters are killing our food stores. And so they go to try to push them out. But yeah, in 74, that's when you start seeing that hunting head south in there. And then, by 78, it's pretty well done.
Yeah. But I will agree with you, Todd B, on your whole point that the 50-70 did most of the work in that.
Yeah,
early.
down there 50-70 did.
Mostly because even take Billy Dixon, he had a 45-90, which 45-90 we were not talking about. It pulled a pretty good shift there during the early Buffalo War. It came on earlier, but when push came to shove, he dropped the 45-90 for a. Am I wrong there, Duke? He had 45-90 on zone. He drops it for a 50-90 to make it shot.
No, he did not have a 45-90, because 45-90 didn't get invented until 77.
Okay, you might check that, because I thought.
So he had a 44-90.
Okay,
so
44-90. Okay,
44-90 came out in the 1860s, and that's that one. Was a bottleneck that they said had extreme recoil, and short range, and then the 44-77 comes out and outperforms it.
Yeah, but he dropped it for a 50 for a long range
shot.
shot.
Yeah, because even though it was heavy, because when they had that 44-90, they had way too heavy of a bullet. I mean, that's that one. Well, it's the one I showed the picture there. They had that really nasty looking long bullet on the front. But yeah, he swapped it out. In fact, I got that book right here, Life of Billy Dixon. I was about to get into that too, but yeah, I was kind of going through here on Wright Moore, and he said, yeah, they're making $3.05 per hide. So at 500 hides, they made $1,500, and at that time in the 1870s, that's really good money.
A lot of money.
And they're going to be awfully hard to tax.
Yeah. So, okay, excuse me. He didn't have 500 hides. He had 305 buffalo hides. And then he brought in 20,000 pounds of shortcut hams that he got 2.5 cents per pound. 20,000 pounds. Holy crap.
That's a lot of weight to pull around.
That's 100
He had a
tons.
wagon train.
Yeah, well, they'd go out in big groups. Wright brothers and them, they were going out in big operations. Buffalo hunting wasn't like beaver. Well, I say like beaver trap. Even the beaver trappers went out and a couple, 2-3 guys at a time. But some of these hide guys, I mean, they were professionals, and that's why they hunted them out, is because they were really too good at their job.
Yep.
Okay, that's the Great Blizzard, Pat Masterson. And really, this isn't a chronological book. This is stories that Moore told about what happened during those days.
We're going to get into Snapper's rifle here in just a minute, but I'm enjoying this because I love these single-shot rifles, and I love the buffalo hunting era.
Right.
But I'm still going to say, yeah, Todd, you're still right, though. 50-70 pulled a – because there was a lot of Sharps carbines out there in 50-70. So, yeah, it pulled the majority lion's share of the work, way more than 45-70 in the early hunting. So, Shot Shula said the 45 Colt had a Bennett primer at first. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here you go. Gunsmith 4570 said the fort you're looking for is Camp Supply in Oklahoma.
Yeah, I thought that was the one. So, yeah, here in Moore says Moore's using a 50. He doesn't say which one. He just says big 50. So, at that time, I was probably still 50-70. Of course, anything 50 caliber, they called a big 50 because it was a big gun.
Yep. Shot Sheila said the first Army 45 Colt with a boxer primer was the M1882, also about the same time that the 4570. They both kind of got the center of the boxer at the same time. Civilian 45 Colt in between there with a boxer primer, right, Sniper?
They did have some boxers on the civilian ones early on, but the military ones were all the Bennett style, internal primered, non-reloaded.
Mill Creek said, "Who wants to help me build a time machine?" That'd be cool.
I'm in.
I know some person I would go back and ask a question to today.
Me too.
And his initials
you
are
went to his
NP.
grave, I'm pretty sure.
We'll talk about that story here in just a minute. What's the story on the needle clock, Snapper?
Well, that clock actually my great grandmother brought brand new in the 1920s. And it's one of the very few family. Do we have family heirlooms from that family? From my dad's side of the family? That clock, and I have a pocket watch that's a Waltham pocket watch from 1907 that was bought new, and it's this beautiful pocket watch. It looks so plain on the outside, but it's got I forgot the name of it, but it's one of the trains for the conductors, the internals. It was like really high end watch, and you open it up in the back, and it's engraved and polished in this really beautiful, like, I've never seen any watch like it when you open it up in the back. I mean, it is just gorgeous. It has all this different engraving and grinding marks that, yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
But yeah, it still works. That works. So does the watch.
It goes right with everything else on there.
It does. It looks nice. As a matter of fact, if you look a long time ago, I didn't have it. Right when my dad was getting sick, he asked me to bring it home. And I was like, sure, I'll bring it back with me. Because he was not at his home. He wanted all the higher end, items that are important out of his house. I brought it back and stuck it there. And he actually, right after one of our lives, he called me and said, just leave it there. It looks better there than it does in my place. So
like, I love it. I love that look.
It's beautiful. I love that clock. It's gorgeous. And it looks great there too.
Yeah, especially with that rifle on it. Skunkwork Rifle 2 said, good evening, everyone.
Hey.
Todd B said, Buffalo Bill used his 1866 Springfield to kill 5,000 bison. I got a video coming on that. It's a very interesting story about his rifle, the Lucretia Borgia. Now, I've heard everything from 2,000 to 5,000. 5,000 seems to be the upper end of what he did in 2 years for the railroad. But there seems to be some controversy on where that rifle came from and how in the world in 1867 he got his hands on a military gun that most of the military didn't even have yet. But I think Duke and I were up at Fort Larned one day, and I think we may have discovered the answer to that. And it may not be the same story that the Cody Firearms Museum is telling everybody. Because if you read their webpage, they say he got it in the Civil War. They don't want to tell you where it came from.
There wasn't an Allen conversion in the Civil War.
Yeah, that's what they say on the Cody Museums. But the reason they're saying that is they don't want to tell you where it came from because I think they know where it came from and they don't want to get it back.
Yeah.
There's a funny story, and I won't tell this one on the webs because I don't know if I can tell it or not. But funny story about somebody that went up there from a certain place where that gun probably came from, and yeah.
Yep.
I'm we're here to get our gun back.
But I'm going to make a video on it. I've been working it out in my mind how I'm going to do that. But Buffalo Bill's 1866, very important piece of history. Shot Shula said the Snider has an extractor, trapdoor has an ejector. Yes. And that's one thing that the trapdoor is going to have over both the rolling block and the Snider at the time.
Yeah.
Snider was invented by an American. The Snider was invented by an American, Jacob Snider, and a Frenchman named Schneider. I am pretty sure Erskine Allen had nothing to do with it. Yeah, we discussed that. We were talking about the fight, but Duke was talking about the fight between him and Maynard is what was going on.
Yeah, I thought Allen was in there on something else, but I may be thinking of something different.
The 1859 Sharps infantry rifle was mostly used from the beginning with aluminum flat-based cartridges. They would cut the tail cartridges, but they were seen as problematic early. Soylent Green said, yeah, and they offered the 74 Sharps on the civilian market in 71. Only called it the 74 when the 1875 came out. They went back 1 year instead of calling it the 1871 or old model. Interview said, I saw an original Snider Enfield in pretty good shoot, able condition for about $400 at my local black powder store. Is that? Oh, you better get it. That's all I can say. If it's a good condition Snider for $400, snap that dude up.
Yeah.
But the Saboteur 45 said Duke knows I'll outshoot him in the Sharps competition.
Oh boy,
um,
we might have to
Okay.
put that to the test.
Here's a good question. Duke and I have talked about this quite a bit. Any idea how involved getting his sharps rebarreled, rechambered is? I kind of want to put a 16-pound barrel in a non-45 70 caliber on my Pedersen sharps. Might do a Buffalo Hunter living history. If you got a 45, it's pretty easy. If you got a 50, it's pretty easy. If you're going for a straight wall cartridge, it should be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Rebarreling isn't that hard. You just screw the barrel out of the receiver. I suggest why can't I think of his name right now? There is a channel that builds sharps rifles, and he's a great channel, and I watch him all the time, but he hasn't uploaded in a while. That would be, I'll know it as soon as I see it, guys. Let me look real quick. And he does a lot, like he builds them from the ground up. So that was I have like 18 channels that start with black powder in my list.
Right? Same here.
Yeah. At least Jake is everything black powder.
Yeah, so Billy Dixon says he said I got in possession of a big 50 gun early in the fight.
Yeah,
So
50-90.
yeah,
Where you at?
let's see. I managed to get a hold of the 50 gun in this manner. The ammunition for mine was in Rath's store, which none of us was in the habit of visiting at that particular moment. I wonder why. I had noticed that Shepard, Hanaran's bartender, was banging around with Hanaran's big 50, but not making much use of it, as he was badly excited. Here, Jim, I said to Hanaran, I see you are without a gun. Take this one. I gave him mine, then I told Shep to give me the 50. He was glad to turn loose of it and handed it to me so quickly that he almost dropped it. I had the reputation of being a good shot, and it was rather to the interest of all of us that I should have the powerful gun. So, okay, that's how you got a hold of 50.
Nice.
Yeah. Hardy, you've probably already seen it, but check out Morelli's, if that's how you pronounce it, Tactical Advantage, Buckskin Dave over there. He's anything you ever want to know. He has complete video series on building sharps rifles from scratch. And he does everything. Like he has fancy lathes and everything else. And you can go watch that video. You'll learn anything you want to know about a sharps or a rolling block from him. He even made one of the coolest things he made was a Hawken rolling block, which those did exist. Basically a Gimmer Hawken. You know what I'm talking about, Duke. Has a Hawken fore end on it, but he made it with a rolling block action. And it was a breech loader, but it looked like Hawken wood on it, and it was a cool rifle. Mill Creek Range said, last week, Snapper, I was in West Texas desert out from El Paso. It was 109 degrees and 20%. It was good. It was a good dry, good and dry.
I don't even know what the humidity is here. It's like we'll get up to about 118, 119 here, but it doesn't feel that hot. And now it's impossible to cool your house down, but yeah.
Right. So that's Billy Dixon's account of the famous shot. On the third day, a party of about 15 Indians appeared on the edge of the bluff east of Adobe Walls Creek, and some of the boys suggested that I try the big 50 on them. The distance was not far from 7/8 of a mile. A number of exaggerated accounts have been written about the incident. I took careful aim and pulled the trigger. We saw an Indian fall from his horse. The others dashed out of sight behind a clump of timber. A few moments later, 2 Indians ran quickly on foot to where the dead Indian lay, seized his body, and scurried to cover. They had risked their lives, as we had frequently observed, to rescue a comrade who might not only be wounded, but dead. I was admittedly a good marksman, yet this might be called a scratch shot.
Made that brag shot and then he killed over you old fake. You ever watch Savage Sam? See, I'm gonna slide on down through here. Gray Pilgrim's in. He says hi.
Hey,
he said
Gray.
at Greasy Grass, someone on the Indian side used a Frank Wesson in rimfire. Yeah, they used everything on the Indian side in that fight.
Yeah.
Everything you can think of, they used. Somehow they got their hands on 2 Type 1 Allen conversions that weren't supposed to even be west of the Mississippi, but they got 2 of them. So something happened. I don't know how, but something happened. He said, I have a 32 rimfire Frank Wesson double trigger, 1823. By the way, guys, stay tuned this Sunday on 11 Bang Bang channel. You're going to get to see some Turkey Creek 1823 on our channel. He said, hey, Duke, what was the bolt gun that Bo Dorn was using in the Tom Selleck movie Crossfire Trail?
Remington Keen.
Yep, I believe it was. Same as they used in the Sons of Katie Elder.
Mm-hmm. Bolt action hammer fired gun.
Coolest looking gun. Pretty good for blowing deputies out of the sky. Oh. Gray Pilgrim said buffalo steak is delicious. Turkey Creek said there were 3 herds: the Arkansas herd, the Republican herd, and the Yellowstone herd. They were shot in that order. That would make more sense. Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, the Republican herd, that's kind of the one that's in the middle Kansas area. That one wound up going, I thought it went south with down into the Cimarron.
Yeah. Yeah. Gray Pilgrim said I've shot 50-70 and it kicks a little bit.
Reality, it's all one big herd. But
just splits 3 ways.
The trails started coming in, that's how the herds got split. The Oregon Trail is going to split, and then the Santa Fe Trail is going to cause a split. And so that's why you've got the divisions, that Republican herds between the 2 trails, the southern herds below the Santa Fe Trail, northern herds north of the Oregon Trail.
Cool.
But yeah, reality, it's all one great big herd. I've got another book here.
So what herd was in my area in 68 and 69?
That'd be that
was the big herd, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gray Pilgrim said there was no income tax in 1870. Very true. Had to wait for the sinking of the Titanic for that to happen. But anyway, that's just my thought.
That southern herd that went down in Texas, I forgot what year it was, but they crossed the Arkansas River just outside of Dodge City, down there by Cimarron. They say it took 7 days for them to get across. 3 days. Took 3 days for them to get across. And they never came north after that again. And then that was kind of when the buffalo hunters really started going south.
Yep. And he said, yeah, I think the Arkansas herd, the Republic herd may have been shot out first in the Arkansas herd. I can't remember for sure. Yeah, I think we just covered that. Gray Pilgrim said, Snapper, I have a similar mantle clock from my great-grandfather. Stephen
nice.
M. Mann said, I'd be happy to just roll back to my youth, talking about the time machine.
Yeah.
Slick Six Guns is in. Hi, Slick. He said,
Hey,
evening,
Slick.
currently working on editing new uploads.
I'm working on your mag case. I just got to drive a rivet, and then I can do the wet molding. I'm getting there. I'm only a month or 2 months behind.
Gray Pilgrim said, I have a crag my great-granddad left to the family when he was in the Spanish-American War, and it sort of followed him. Yeah, that will happen.
I'm so jealous of people back then. Like, they got to keep, or purchase, or just, hey, somehow this followed me home without too much problem. I wish we could have had that opportunity.
Yep.
It'd be awesome.
Soylent Green said Morelli's tactical advantage. He builds drilling blocks also. Very nice Gimmer models. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. I know I'm a little behind, guys. Saboteur, I think talking to you, Duke, he said about that shooting competition. Remember Headspace. Jay Wheeler's in. He said, hey, what's up, guys?
Hey.
Not much. Just hanging out.
Somewhere,
Okay.
I know I got a book that has a map of that
Crossing.
buffalo herd, and I can't find it.
Okay, so Turkey Creek 1823, said the fort in Texas Duke was trying to think of is Fort Griffin or Fort Elliott. So there you have a couple more.
Yeah,
clues.
yeah, there we go.
Which one?
One of the
One
two.
of those two.
They both ring a bell. All right, I gotta pull out the other book. Somewhere I've got a book And I don't even know now that it's even up here, but I got a book that shows the herds, where they were at. Got a map. And I, for the life of me, cannot remember what book it is. And it's about to drive me bonkers. But anyway. Oh, and I got to show this book off. So I talked about this one earlier. This is on the Buffalo War.
Mm-hmm.
So inside says property of Joaquin Jackson and $85. I don't think he actually paid $85 for this book. I don't know what that deal was. And then it's signed to Joaquin Jackson by the author,
Cool.
James Haley. When I first got this, I ordered it on Amazon, and I need to get it back in my safe at home because I need to buy another copy of this. It's like I've seen that name, Joaquin Jackson. I'm like, I should know that. I really should know that name. So I typed it in the computer, and it's like, yeah, that's why I should know that name. He was a famous Texas Ranger in the 1900s.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and at that time, I was doing a lot of research on Texas Rangers. So it's like, yeah, I reached out to the author of this book to confirm it. And he's like, yeah. He says, when I was putting in the bid to do the biography for him, whatever the biography, autobiography, whatever it was, when he was going to write the guy's biography, he put in and he submitted several of his books for review, and this was one of the books he'd sent to him.
Nice.
So I have.
It showed up from Amazon.
I bought this off Amazon for $5.
Wow.
So this is my pride and joy. Out of all of my books, this is the one that I would never part with. And like I said, I need to get it back in my gun safe back home, and get a different copy to look at. But yeah, this is one book that you do not see my name written on it right there. I'm not going to alter it in any way. Going to keep this one for as long as I can. But yeah, that's my pride and joy. So that's why I got to be gentle with her until I can get another copy. There's one map I was looking for. So yeah, the closest to Camp Supply was actually Fort Bascom in New Mexico.
Well,
and then Camp Supply, actually Camp Supply might have been just a little bit closer. But Fort Griffin was way down. It's further down in Texas. It's outside of the Panhandle, but yeah, and then Fort Sill. Actually, Fort Sill's closer than Fort Griffin, but they don't even have Fort Elliott on here. So, actually, Fort Dodge is closer than Fort Griffin.
Fort Dodge is not far from Texas. In all reality, it's just a
No. It's a what, 2 hour, 3 hour drive.
I probably shouldn't tell this, but back when I was in the oil field, he's dead now, so I can tell it. His name is CJ. He was one of my best friends. He, because this has to do with, I would believe somebody in here wrote about Ted Turner owning the buffalo herds. Yes, he does. He owns buffalo herds all around me, actually. And we were drilling down south and right there in Oklahoma, on the Oklahoma line on Ted Turner's ground, right in the middle of his buffalo herds. They'd come up and watch us every day. And we're drilling for oil down there. And as roughnecks will do, CJ wound up getting in some legal trouble. And his dad was also in legal trouble. And they had a court date. And this being as neither of them, well, at least not CJ, was too responsible himself. It was my uncle and I's job to call him and have him make sure he got out of bed for his court date. He's just a roughneck. Good hand. Had kind of a rough life. He's gone now. I kind of miss CJ, but he went kind of violently. But we called him and we said, "Are you ready to go to court? Because you're not coming to work. Got to go to court today." He said, "Well, I got to drinking a little bit last night, and Dad and me decided to go out and find Ted Turner's buffalo where we were drilling." So, "Well, then you should be right here somewhere." He said, "Well, there's a farmhouse. Let me ask." And he pulled up to the farmhouse and said, "Where are we?" And I could hear the old boy over the line. He said, "Well, you're in Texas." And CJ said, "I woke up in Kansas this morning. How'd that happen?" They'd hopped across the line. They did not make their court date, but I always thought that was so funny. He went 3 miles south to see the buffalo, wound up in Texas. It's actually only about 2 hours down there. Old CJ is a good old boy. Kind of miss him. Let's see. Gray Pilgrim said, I have a Shiloh Sharps paper cartridge carbine Italian. Stephen M. Mann said, Adobe has advantages to being cool. Yeah.
And bulletproof.
And bulletproof, yeah.
Hardy said, thanks for a good time, gents, but it's an hour past my bedtime. Makes me feel old. Talk to y'all later. Yeah, we'll see you
Take
later.
care.
I'm going to slide on down here, guys. Slick Six Gun said, no worries, Duke. I'm sure even if it falls apart, I'll love it. Yeah, Gray Pilgrim was one who said most of them are owned by Ted Turner. Yes, they are. And I don't think the Buffalo today, at least the ones I see out there on Turner's Place, are not the same as the Buffalo that were around back then. There's more beef in them than they'd like to admit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they won't ever get 100% pure buffalo, but they're pretty close.
Yeah.
I always wanted a set of Buffalo cowboy boots. Super stretchy.
Yeah. Let's see. Gray Pilgrim said, I have a pretty large gun library, priceless first editions.
I think Gray has got the same book I do for the
Haven and
Hartman
Belden.
Or yeah, the Haven and Belden, excuse me. I think he has the same one.
Cool. We're almost caught up here. Then we're going to get down to what Snapper and I have been doing today. My gun, Gray Pilgrim said, Soylent Green said that book you have, Duke, is cool. Glad someone who will appreciate it got it.
Yeah.
Gray Pilgrim said, my gun books are in my gun cave, which is my spare bedroom. When you guys come out to visit, that is where you'll get to bunk and you'll spend some time reading. That'd be cool. Jay Wheeler said, about the best first edition I have is Alias Billy the Kid from the 1950s, written by Brushy Bill's lawyer who was trying to get him to pardon as Billy the Kid. Oh, man.
Oh, you need to hang out with good old Wild West Extravaganza.
Yeah, he does. He's pretty tight with Josh. I know Jay is, but iPod Walker. All right, here we go. This is a good one for all three of us. You guys were in the 1850s. How would you be strapped?
Ooh, 1850s. Okay.
Who's going first?
You go first.
Okay.
There you go.
At least 151 Navy and a Sharps.
Carbine.
Yeah. Well, they did have sporting rifles. We've got a 50. Before we have a 51 sporting rifle.
Yeah. What would that's in the paper cutter?
Yeah, it's actually a 40.
So, my question would be, can you upload that from the end of the gun, load it through the muzzle, and get more velocity out of that than you would have with your standard smaller paper cartridge?
I mean, yeah, if you past a round ball, but otherwise, if you're using a conical, no, it goes in there and seats in that rifling.
Mm-hmm.
Because Sharp's paper cutter is not very far off from being a cartridge, brass cartridge gun. It really isn't. Hence why they were so easy to convert. But yeah, no, I know one guy that I know tried to load one up, and he said, yeah, when you seat that bullet all the way down in there and it hits the rifling, he says it's hard to get it to go farther up there to get it to take powder.
Yeah.
And one of the other things you got to worry about with those Sharps paper cutters is if you aren't using a paper cartridge and you're pouring loose powder in there, when you close that breech, make sure you tip the gun upside down to get the loose powder off, because there's a lot of people that have split their forend, because when they do that up, they brush it off. That powder goes down between the barrel and the forend, and when they pull the trigger, the forend goes pop.
Mm-hmm. So what did you say for your pistol?
51 Navy.
Mm-hmm. What do you got, Snapper?
The Colt revolving rifle.
There you
Because
go.
I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with a Dragoon.
And my back pocket would have a 49 pocket, and my front right pocket would have a 51 Navy.
There you go. All three.
The whole lineup.
I like to think about these things like if I was back in 55 right now, I'd be like I am now. I'd be farmer, sod buster, not much money. And so I'm going to go with 3 guns, and I probably can't afford the third one. First of all, I would love to go with a Hawken, but knowing me, I can't afford one. So I'm going to go with a heavy caliber Lehman trade gun, because with a 58, or I can't remember if he made a 62, but I know he made a 58. You can take a Buffalo easily, and that's if you're out west, you're going to be looking at that a lot. I'm also going to take a Flintlock Northwest trade gun smoothbore to use as a shotgun, or if I can afford it, have it converted to Caplock, right? So a smoothbore trade gun, a heavy calibered Lehman or Hawken if I could afford it. And
Right.
if I can have any money left over at the end and it's going to cost me more than anything, I'm going to have a 51 Navy. But I feel like if I'm where I am out west, I want a smoothbore for hunting small game. I want a heavy caliber muzzle loader that I can tailor, like I was talking earlier, tailor my load to, and I want a 51 Navy, and that's how I'm going in the 1850s.
I've always been on the field because with the 51 Navy, like I think that is the best gun ever made. Like when it came to the percussion pistols, but I don't know why. I just don't. I love the gun too. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to like say the Dragoon, I always go with the Dragoon, and I couldn't tell you why.
Well, if you have to
I would
put a
have one
Buffalo
on the
down,
saddle.
yeah,
What's that?
I'd have one on the saddle.
yeah,
Oh
there you
yeah,
go.
definitely. But I if I go shooting, it's actually my 51 Navy is one of the guns that I rarely ever take out shooting.
Yeah.
It shoots great. I couldn't tell you why though. I don't. I don't know.
And honestly, if I could not have one of those 3, it would be the rifle. If I could only afford 2, it would be the handgun for defense, 6 shots, and the smoothbore, because I can load it with a round ball and at least kind of get the job done on a bigger animal.
I wish the pocket Navy would have been around in the 1850s. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, that would have been great.
That to me, that is like the ultimate.
Yeah, Jay Wheeler and me have the same thoughts. He said, realistically, in the 1850s, I'd have been in Alabama and likely a poor farmer. I'd hope to have a 51 Colt and some kind of small caliber rifle or shotgun for shooting small game and deer. You'd want one of them Southern Mountain rifles. A Kibler style. Again. And Gray Pilgrim said, how about a Jonathan Browning harmonica gun?
Heard of those?
Yeah.
I have my issues because they're kind of a proof of concept type thing. I mean, it probably would work, but if I'm an old farmer, like Jay Wheeler was just saying, I'm probably going to go with the cheap, tried and true. Something everybody's got and there's parts for.
I didn't think about that whole concept too. Is what would be my job if I lived back then? Because if I was just a farmer, honestly,
you'd be in the Army,
Navy and it just really depends what your job would be.
You'd be in the Army. Dick, what would you be doing back in 1850?
I think I'd be heading to California and setting up a store and maybe a saloon. And if I'm going to run a saloon, there's probably going to be a little bit of ill repute associated with it.
You're going to be a regular Al Swearigan, aren't you?
Yep.
I knew that.
I don't know. I could actually picture you doing that too.
Yep. And Soylent Green said, yeah. Stephen Mann said, I know why snafu. Yeah, and Soylent Green said, yeah, smoothbore can get you big and small game. Yes. He said, and funny thing is, there's BB guns that kind of have plastic versions of the harmonica system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So anyway, Snapper, you ready to talk about this? Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
don't have
can.
everything together to cover it really well.
No, I was really thinking about putting together some kind of a presentation next time, like on a big live, or
Yeah, that'd
we
be
could do a
better.
video about it.
Let's just say
But
that
keep
there's about
everybody
a
interested.
90. Yes, sir. About a 90% chance we've tracked down the owner of that rifle behind him on the wall. And
It's amazing.
if it's true, it ties into Billy the Kid and some really cool bank robberies that happened up here in Kansas even. If it's true, we got to do a little more research.
Let's just say that coincidences become to the point where you stop believing they got to be coincidences because they keep popping up. And there's also a name on the gun, initials on the gun. And let's just say that we've been following it pretty tightly. And like I said, I would say 90% is a really good percentage where I would say we're pretty confident. You could never be at 100% unless we're there. But
let's just say it rained last night. It rained last night, and I had the day off, so Snapper had me running around on my hands and knees looking through gravestones in a cemetery.
Yeah.
You know what, Garrett? I think that increases the value.
I kept telling him that. Believe it or not, I kept telling him that. I was like, I actually gave him two options. I was like, one, I give the gun back because we're starting to get to the point where this is far beyond what the initial, selling it to me was. Or I could pay him more. And we kind of stuck with the idea that if he ever wants the gun back, he just has to ask. And I'll sell it for the exact same amount of money I bought it for.
There you
And
go.
that would be an always contract.
I sold it to Snapper because I knew it was like selling it to one of my brothers. I know it's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. It'll easily get back in your hands if you want it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
For the opportunity, I was like, trust me, the day we started figuring it out, I started calling him. I was like, look, so we're going to have to redo this. We're either going to need you to be I'll return it to you because now it's like really turning out to this to be true, or I'll pay you more money for it. And
I'm not interested. I'm not
he's
interested.
crazy. I told you.
I love the history, and that's the main thing.
Well, I tell you what, if you guys ever open a museum, that is definitely going into the museum for you guys. I'm not putting it in any other museum. I hate museums these days.
Yeah, we got to do the Sun City, Kansas Gun Museum.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to get Caleb to open up his collection.
Exactly. Let's see. Where did my banners all go? Oh, overlays. Okay, let me try this and see if I can dig something up here. Probably.
Charge them $10 a head to come in there and look at it.
Indeed.
But we got to get Caleb's bed out of there first.
Hey,
Hey, you know that old gymnasium that's over there? That'd be a really good museum.
That would make a good museum, wouldn't it? Oh,
I need to get out there. I keep telling the wife I need to, especially now. I was like, I really want to take that gun back down there, at least take it to the grave of its original owner, and take it back to some of its glory days. Some of the areas we went kabang
yep.
at people. That'd be cool.
Exactly.
That'd be a lot of fun. Well, even on the top, I've been just wanting to go down there anyways. Hang out with you guys. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yep.
It would be.
Anyway.
Duke's been here once, but he came in bad weather.
Yeah, they said, oh, it's always nice and sunny and warm that time of the year in Kansas. I show up and it's like
You
10
brought it with you.
degrees and 70-mile-an-hour winds.
That's funny.
You brought it with you. Let me see.
I just want to be able to go back on horseback. I haven't been on a horse since I was a teenager.
I haven't been on a horse in a year. I used to ride all the time. I haven't been on a horse in almost a year and a half. I got all the nephews want to do all that for me nowadays.
Yeah.
Although, if I get a chance to come down this winter, I ought to stick around for a week or two, and we got to make some little short movies or something.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, I got to figure out a way to get down there. That'd be a lot of fun.
Let me see here. I always got to figure out how to do this without shutting this down. Let's see.
You trying to pull up that picture?
I was looking for a picture. Yeah, so I'm going to try to share screen. Oh, right here. Sure. Found it. Now, you wouldn't believe it, but I spent all day looking for this tombstone. I'm trying to use the map of a cemetery that's well over 100 years old.
A map of a what?
A cemetery that's well over 100 years old.
That ain't what you said.
That's
You
exactly
said
what he
cemetery.
I said cemetery.
It sounded like cemetery on this end.
Oh, that's why I got the day off right there. Well, there it was, and we first found that, and there he is.
There's the man, the hour, the man, the myth, the legend.
And
If you look at, before we won't give anybody any other hints. Look up that name and see if you can attach it to anything.
yeah, they're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah, you're gonna have a very hard time.
Nathan S. Priest. But yeah, I thought we'd lost it because everywhere where the cemetery said he was, there were just
Wasn't.
graves that had lost the headstones. And I'm fooling around and kicking around by this tree looking for Priest. Where is Priest? And it wasn't even this tombstone. It was another one that was
It
completely
was turned
sunk in.
backwards and it had a rock up against it.
I don't think I have a picture of it either, but it was like I barely saw a PR sticking out of the dirt. That's how deep this tombstone had sunk. And I kicked down and I was like, Snapper, it says Priest. We found him.
it.
And then I went around and looked the other side of the big headstone that was sitting right there, and it was that one.
Yeah.
But it was 9 rows off of where the map said it was. Turned out they'd moved the road in like the 1950s, so it was not where it was supposed to be anymore. But yeah, that was our adventure for the day. Be looking forward, hopefully, to a video that comes up on that sometime.
After him learning about the guy that had it before Garrett got it, on top of this, on top of some initials, it's yeah.
Yep.
Seems
Kodak
to be one
Tackman.
very special 73 Winchester.
Yep. Kodak Tackman said, I'd sure like to know where Garrett got that hat. Well, I got it at a local farm store because we have a lot of Mennonites around. It's basically just a Mennonite hat, and I like
Oh
it.
yeah, I didn't even notice that. That is a Mennonite hat.
Yep.
Those are the guys who could drive the cars, and they just have to be black, right? Mennonite.
I've never heard that one. My Mennonites aren't Amish.
Oh, never mind. I'm probably way off then. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend
I was
anybody.
once. Yes, sir. I was once in a bar in Oregon, New Mexico. Rifle over the bar said the only gun not owned by Billy the
Owned by
Kid.
Billy the Kid.
This one was not owned by Billy the Kid, nor
No.
was it owned by anybody in Billy the Kid's gang, just by a person who was involved in some demise.
Yep.
uh,
This was more of a posse members.
yeah. iPod Walker said, if I was in the 1850s, I'd be rich and have a pair of 11 millimeter. I know what that is, but I can never pronounce it.
Devisma?
Yeah. French gun, I think. Cartridge revolver and a Hall rifle carbine. That'd be a good way to go.
Great
And
thing about
Sabot-
French guns, they never been fired and only dropped once.
It's 3 Saboteur 45 said Duke is Hal the knife. Oh, how is the
Indeed.
knife? I got you. Okay, I had to read it.
Right here.
And Greg Pilgrim said, Duke, more Johnny Reb shorts.
I may try to talk you out of this one, Saboteur, if I ain't careful.
Yeah, I must have come across bad in my microphone. I said cemetery, but Soylent Green said I thought I said pitchy-terry.
Yeah, Duke, we need to see some more of those your shorts. A little bit more Crisco added. Would be nice.
the Crisco
Yeah, so
Kid.
what I was going to do with that is Billy Yank was going to get promoted to lieutenant for a quartermaster officer. And I was going to buy a Civil War lieutenant outfit from Quartermaster Shop, but Quartermaster Shop decided they was going to retire 1st of July. And so, yeah, so I'm kind of just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that, but I just don't have much time to film. So they might make a comeback here in this fall.
Just make sure you add a little extra Crisco for the Crisco Kid.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I was thinking of adding another character or two into it too to make it a little more fun, or maybe do a little post Civil War skit with them. But
There
yeah,
you
we'll
go.
see how it plays out.
Yeah. Franklin
Yeah, I really
Horse
enjoyed
said,
that, dude.
"Hey peeps."
Whenever you get it.
Sorry, go ahead, Snapper. I interrupt you.
No, go ahead, go ahead. I was finishing what I was saying, anyways.
iPod Walker said, "For your information, did you know the guy who shot Wild Bill Hickok was exhumed, still had the noose around his neck?" Yes, I saw that the other day.
Did he really? I didn't know this.
Yeah, that's why you don't go bragging about shooting somebody in the back. They may still be able to get you.
Yep.
I'm about to start quoting Deadwood, but I had better refrain.
When did
Franklin.
that happen? Like recently? Like you got dug up recently?
I just saw it on like the Google. When you go to Google, I saw it the other day. Maybe that's where he saw it too. I don't know. I didn't click on it. I just saw Jack McCall had been dug up, and there was a picture of him, and he still had the noose around his neck.
There was actually a picture of Jack McCall with the noose around his neck. Oh,
Yeah.
cow.
Looking back on it, might have been black and white. I think the picture was from way back when, because when I look at it, he wasn't decayed, but evidently he still had that noose around his neck. The way I
Interesting.
understood it. Skunk Work Rifle said, "Enjoy the show later, everyone." Franklin Horse said, Old order Mennonites is horse and buggy. Kodak Tackman said, "Could use one of those hats in this Georgia humidity." Yeah, pretty nice. I actually hadn't had this one for about 3 weeks. I look all over for it. It was behind the couch. 11 Bang Bang said, "French guns are cool, Duke." That's Ethan. How's it going, Ethan?
Hey,
You
better
are
text us
three-time
when,
daddy yet?
Yep.
when the baby comes out, you better text us.
And tell us what you're going to name him.
Yep.
It's Duke. I'll
Franklin.
buy you a cigar.
If it's Snapper, I'll something.
Yeah, Snapper Duke or Duke Snapper.
Duke
Duke
Snapper.
Snapper Woods. That sounds like a heck of a name.
That covers all three of us.
What's your
Huh?
name? My name's Duke Snapper.
Snap Duke. Okay.
Snap.
Duke Snap. Franklin Horse said Reformed Mennonites are also called Black Bumper Mennonites because they can have cars but no chrome. That's probably what you're talking about. Team Charlottesville all the way. Turkey Creek 1823 said, "Adios, compadres. I'm going to hit the hay." Gray Pilgrim said, "I have many French guns, but later." Okay. Kodak Tackman said, "I do enjoy Johnny Reb and Billy Yank skits,
Indeed.
especially the Crisco ones."
Yeah.
I don't know, Gray. I had the guy try to tell me what it was, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't what he said it was. But I know there's
It's-
coconut oil in there.
I'm pretty sure that Blackie went to a crossroads in the middle of the night somewhere down in Georgia and sold his soul to the devil to make the greatest gun lube ever.
I'm pretty sure it's a beeswax and coconut oil and the heck else.
Something.
Yeah.
That stuff is just phenomenal, though.
Whatever it is, I don't want to give it away because it's good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's somebody else that told me about their mixture. I tried making it. It was just a mess and stunk my house up. It smelled like freaking coconuts and honey.
Well, whatever this stuff is smells good, so maybe we have different smells though. Gray Pilgrim said he saw that too. I think about Jack McCall. iPod Walker said they moved the cemetery and had to dig him up. That would explain it. Ethan said they're doing it tomorrow. Oh, so they're not going to have the baby tonight. Okay.
Well,
They're
tell the
always
doctor to
getting
get on with it.
Yeah. Well, why aren't you home on the live chat, Ethan? I'm just kidding. Yeah, Stephen Mann said I'm going to say Joseph Meek is the name. I don't know. We talked about Jebediah, Jeb.
That's a good one.
I've been trying to convince Ethan. We thought about Nathan Bedford Forrest Woods, but Plowboy's son already has that one. Thomas Jackson Woods. You know, there's all kinds of good ones in there.
John Singleton Mosby Woods.
Yeah, there you go. John Singleton
you go.
Mosby Woods. Mosby Woods. That's even just Mosby Woods.
Yeah.
Let's see, Franklin
Over,
Horse.
California Joe.
Got a new dog. She's a mini Bernedoodle. I named her Swift because there's a high risk that she will destroy my truck. That's a pretty good one. Oh, yeah. No, Ethan, I didn't tell him about how we accidentally got a 1776 Charlottesville instead of what you ordered. I will wait for you to tell that story on someday. Great Pilgrim said LOL. And Jay Wheeler said, call him Fighting Joe Wheeler. There you go.
There you go.
I never put 2 and 2 together, Jay. Okay. Fighting Joe Wheeler. Jay Wheeler 331. Gotcha. I hope that's not just a coincidence. Yeah. 11 Bang Bang said he liked Daniel Morgan. Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Daniel Morgan.
I'm surprised. I'll be surprised if he doesn't name him Frank Smith or Daniel Wesson.
Yeah. iPod Walker said, how about later, Tardy? And Kodak Tackman said, call him Jed for short.
Come and listen to my story about a guy named Jed.
I can't do that because Mom already named her dog Jed, so too many Jeds. Great Pilgrim said, Ethan, good luck to you and your lady. Yeah, working out back. Jay Wheeler said he was a cousin of mine. Oh, so guys, we're going for 2 hours and 11 minutes. Anything else you guys want to talk about? You got on your mind? Snapper looks beat.
I am beat today. Yeah.
You call him William Judd Fetterman Woods.
We don't name them after, well, I guess I was going to say we don't name them after losers, but, you know. All them Confederates didn't exactly win, but it wasn't their fault. Davy Jefferson Woods after the president. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
David Jefferson. 11 Bang Bang said, don't tempt me, Duke. Which one did you say?
He was talking about James Wesson.
Yeah, John Singleton Mosby.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then William Judd Fetterman.
Yeah. I don't think he was talking about Fetterman. He's thinking Mosby, I can tell. Gray Pilgrim says, whatever Mama says. I think Mom got to name the last one, so Ethan might have a say in this one. Ethan got to name the first one, and he became Jeremiah Johnson Woods, so. Work it out back. Anything but Sue.
Hey, you got Jeremiah Johnson Woods. Now you need Del Q Woods.
Del Q Woods. Del Q.
With an E.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that's good. Oh. Let's see. David Jefferson.
If you do
has
name
a
him
nice
Sue,
ring
at least
to
he'll
it.
be a good fighter.
You guys are actually putting input into the future of the 11 Bang Bang channel here. Oh, my, that's good. Del Q Woods, that's one. Oh, I always said that Stuart Cooper Wayne Woods had a good ring to it. Gray Pilgrim said Quigley Woods. Ethan said me and the wife have a system. Oh.
That doesn't involve us on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, we're having input. Input. That's all that matters. Input. We're gonna look back on this chat, and it's gonna be saved. And hopefully, 20 years from now, Del Q Woods is gonna be looking back. That's where it came from.
That's where it came from.
Oh, iPod Walker said, "How about okay, out of the woods." Okay, so that's kind of funny because Mom had her last kid when she was in her 40s, and she was going to name him Noah Moore, but she finally gave up in the last minute and called him Noah Andrew, but the Noah stuck, so that's where Noah got his name. Okay, next girl.
I'm going to start calling him Noah Moore now.
Ethan says next girl we have, we should call her Hollywoods. I know some people that name their daughter Amanda Lynn.
I had a friend in the Army whose last name was Pitts. He literally tried to name his kid Harry. Like, no joke. He really was trying so hard to get his kid named Harry.
Greg Pilgrim said, "Lost in the." Yeah, call him Lost in the Woods. Oh man. Now we're just having fun, guys. The main chat seems to be over, but we're just hanging out now. If you guys don't mind.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go here pretty quick, but I can go
Me
a few
too.
more minutes.
I am one sleepy snapper.
You're a sleepy snapper.
Yeah.
Well, Garrett's breaking out his. I guess I'll break out mine.
Well, I guess I'll break out mine.
This is a five stringer, but
I'll play the only song I ever wrote. It's called "I'm Getting Out of Jail Tonight." I don't know if you can hear it or not, but
Ethan said, I knew a kid in basic training. His name was Copper Penny.
What it shocked me, man.
Copper Penny.
I met a girl right after Katrina happened because I lived in Texas and all the people moved from Louisiana into Texas. And let's just say this girl's real name was named after the female reproductive organ. Like, no joke. It's the one that starts with a V. But
yeah.
Her mother named her that because she thought it was a pretty word and didn't know what it meant. No joke.
There is a movie, Will There Be Any Stars in My Crown, Joel McCrae from the 40s, where they talk about one of the main characters' name's Chloroform because they used it on his mother when he was born and she thought it was a pretty name.
Sounds like this. I mean, they were some really backwooded. I mean, they weren't really backwooded. They lived in the middle of the city. So if you kind of get where I'm going here. But very ghetto people.
Mom's in the chat. Gina Woods.
Well, I won't tell her.
I'm on the woods.
I then I won't tell the one guy's name that I know.
You better not. You better not.
Let's just say his first name was Harry and his last name was the nickname for a guy named Richard.
Yeah. Yeah, Soylent. Gina's the grandma. Gina's grandma. Maggie's mama. But when Gina Wood said, y'all behave yourself, Franklin Horse hated this rag smell like chloroform. Y'all in trouble for mama now, Gina Wood said Duke.
I didn't say the word.
Get him.
Still good names coming in.
Tom Tobin Woods. There you go.
Tom Tobin Woods.
Tom Tobin Woods. That's a good one.
How about Ethan? You just skip it all and do your favorite. Just call him Napoleon. Call him Charleville, Charlie Woods.
Don't give him a French name.
Wee wee.
I'm not gonna say it.
Oh. Teddy Woods after Roosevelt. That's all right.
Yeah.
iPod Walker said Hickory.
Old Hickory.
Old Hickory.
You know, I think this whole waiting on a gun thing is torture.
Oh, you're still waiting on your gun?
Yeah, I can't go pick it up till the 15th or 16th. It's torture,
and it's
dude.
made, it's an actual antique?
It's no, well, they have a stupid law here that if a gun store intakes a gun, they have to hold it for 30 days.
Oh,
So,
I see.
yeah, I have to wait for the 30 days to be up. So, yeah, I'm not getting, let's just say it's been torture on Old Snapper. I'm not the most patient person in the world.
And you did tell everybody what that was, right?
Well, I guess I'll say it again. Another single action army. This will be my earliest one ever. This will be from 1880, artillery model, and it's a real U.S. military, inspected, used gun.
Mm-hmm. So that's what you wanted your whole life.
Yeah, you know what's kind of crazy is I always, when I first started collecting Colts, I dreamed of having all 3 barrel lengths and the black powder frame. And it was kind of funny because I didn't even realize it after I bought that one that I actually finally got that. I got the 4 3/4, 7.5 up there. That's an 1891, and this will be 5.5. So finally got all 3 barrel lengths.
Yeah. There you go. And you're set.
Yeah, I know.
Gunsmith 4570 said call him Charlieville Woods. Gina Woods said it's good to see all my sons.
Benjamin Tyler Henry Woods.
Benjamin Tyler Henry Woods. Davy Crockett Woods.
I think he'd get picked on for that one.
I'm willing to bet there's going to wind up being a Smith or a Wesson in there somewhere.
Somewhere. Yep. Commentator said, good July extravaganza, guys. Worth the wait. Well, thank you. Gina Wood said that she loves the Charlieville. Franklin Horace said, name him 100 Acre Woods. Yeah. Mom said, Gina Wood said she's about to be grandma to 14 real soon.
That's awesome. That's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. Stephen M. Mann said he had a barrel that left Boise on June 12th. Haven't heard anything since. That's not good. Be like all my mail and wind up in Fargo. Oh, and the Saboteur said he's been looking at Swiss Vetterli. Well, all I know about those is they tend to blow the stock up if you're not careful.
So, Saboteur, have you shot that Lyman yet?
Yeah, you answer that, Saboteur, while we're waiting. iPods Walker said if it's a girl, name her Bella. Ooh, that's a good one. That's deep thinking.
It's a good Southern girl
Bella
name.
Wood. No, well, Bella Wood.
Oh, yeah,
World War I battlefield.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, that's a good one. 14, the farmer's dozen. Soylent Green said yes. Yeah.
Do we know
Ethan
if it's going to be a girl or a boy?
Yeah, it's a boy. Pretty sure. At this point.
So can you hear
Let's
my
hear
guitar at all on your guys' end?
No. Not
No.
unless you put it up to your microphone.
That's
I
the thing
don't
about an
play
electric
banjo.
guitar that I don't have the electricity hooked up to it.
Play it up there next to the microphone. Maybe we can hear it. There, I hear it.
I'm getting this chord. Well, I'm getting this chord down pretty good.
I was hearing LaGrange is what I was hearing right there.
I've got to learn how to play the guitar.
Oh, play a little music.
Wow.
I don't know if we can. I think there's a if we ever tried to do music across 3 of this, I think we would have
it would be bad. Yeah. One of these days, though, whenever I get back down to Kansas or Garrett gets up here, we've got to record some music. We've been talking about doing it for
Well,
2 years now.
we did do Henry and Sam.
We did do Henry and
It
Sam.
wasn't a great recording, but it sounded pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, but we got to do the one from the Searchers. The Searchers.
Yeah.
The Hill is the other one we was talking about doing. I can't even remember now.
Trying to remember where did we do Henry and Sam at? Was that on your channel or ours?
It took me forever to find it. It's on yours.
Okay, let me go over here and look if we don't lose it. I'm gonna be able to find it. It won't be. This one's not copyrighted. I know that much. Let's see. Are we still sharing screen?
My friend Henry. Have you met?
Snapper, are we still sharing screen?
What do you mean?
Can you see what I'm looking at over here? I don't know if I'm sharing screen.
Oh,
or
no.
not.
I see you, Duke, and me. That's it.
Okay, all right. I was just trying to see how I got to share the screen here. Hey, I heard a guitar there.
Yeah, Caroline finally gave me her book that she bought that teaches you all the chords, and I'm sitting there looking at it like, God, it's going to take me 1,000,000 years to memorize all these.
Oh yeah. Well, you only need 3, and then use a capo.
I don't even know what that means.
Same here.
G, C, and D, and then get you a capo, and you can play about anything. Let's see here.
Oh, is that the clamp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might want a minor chord here and there for most of the songs you like, but let's see.
One of these days, I'm going to get that intro to Rio Lobo completely squared away.
Yeah. Has this got any audio?
Not
I
yet.
don't hear it.
You can't hear it, only I can hear it. See, I can
Only
share
you
a
can hear it.
screen, but I can't share audio, so that's the sad part.
But it's on the 11 Bang Bang. Go check it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you met my
know.
friend Henry?
Let me
Have
stop
you
sharing.
met my friend Sam? One's long and lean, one's short and mean, known quite well throughout this land.
I'm going to try one other thing. I might be able to get it on here. This is kind of a good time to practice some of this stuff. If we accidentally shut down the chat at this point, it doesn't matter. Let's see. I don't know how that would even work. Have you heard my friend Henry?
Have you heard my friend Sam? They've spoke with those who stood opposed. The way I deal, the way I am. I know I'm a little
Have
out of key.
you met? It's trouble. I get one key in banjo. Have you met? It's the key of G. It gets wide open. Have you
Sounds like you're getting ready to
my
yodel.
friend Henry? Have you met my friend Sam? Woo. One's long and lean, one's short. It's hard to do. I can't hear it. There we go.
How many chords are in that song?
One lean, one short and mean, known quite well throughout this land. 3. I'd be dead if not for Henry. I'd be dead if not for Sam. They've spoke with those who stood opposed to the way I deal, the way I am. But I don't play banjo that much. That's why.
So what chord do I have to hit on that one?
G.
Well, tell me which lines to hit on which fret.
That's tough. It's kind of hard to do that over the internet. I don't know if this is in tune. Ooh, that's terrible.
I think mine's getting out of whack too.
Have you met my friend Henry? Have you met my friend Sam? One's long and lean, one's short and mean, known quite well throughout this land. I'd be dead if not for Henry. I'd be dead if not for Sam. They've spoke with those who stood opposed. The way I deal, the way I am. Yep, can't do it over StreamYard.
Yep.
There's too much delay. We have recorded a few though, guys, and we worked on a couple. I just haven't actually taken the time to sit down and do it.
You practice coyotes yet?
I've kind of learned it, but I haven't got it all down yet.
Okay.
I love
The
that
thing is-
song.
Like to do that for Tales of the Trails here.
Yeah.
For
There's
the
a few
intro.
questions here. Actually, speaking of Tales of the Trails, Orm for you, go check out his channel, guys. Said, evening, fellas. Real quick, I watched you chat about Custer not too long back. Just came back from visiting the battlefield on June 25th. Thanks for the encouragement.
Nice.
Always wanted to go there.
I haven't been there yet. One of these days, I'm going to get up there.
Yeah. Gina Wood said, just play it by ear, Duke.
You know how long it takes me to do that?
Long time.
I've been working on Rio Lobo by ear since I was 17 years old, and I still ain't got it down yet.
Rio Lobo.
Yeah, we did do that one, Soylent. We did that one on a live chat when they came up here to Wyoming last year.
What did Soylent say? What song was that?
My Rifle, My Pony, and Me.
Pony and Me. If this was tuned, yeah, I got to agree with you, Oregon Outback. There are too many strings on this one to keep it tuned, and it even has tuner built in it.
How many strings are on that one?
12. Well, you let your finger hang down. There's actually 11.
Just take 6 of them off.
Actually, that's how I learned to play guitar. I wish I was an apple hanging in a tree, and every time my sweetheart passed, she'd take a bite of me. She told me that she loved me, called me sugar plum, threw her arms around me. I thought my time had come. Get along home,
Cindy, get along home, Cindy. Get along home, Cindy. I'll marry you sometime.
He's gonna kill us, but we were. We actually did a live chat once where we went about 5 hours just singing up. We were sitting up there at Duke's apartment in Wyoming.
Yeah,
or his little basement.
The only thing was I was coming off of a cold, so I was really out of tune on that one.
Well, my guitar's really out of tune. One of these days I'll bring in my little Buck Owens guitar and we'll do that
Oh,
again.
I don't know what's worse, your guitar or my thing.
They're both pretty out of tune. I don't know about yours. I got this one. It might be in tune. This one's kind of special now, especially really special. It's way out. You actually have to have pliers to tune this one. This is a Gene Autry.
Oh, wow.
And this one belonged to my grandpa. And he actually passed away right before we did our fireworks on the 4th of July. So, yeah, this one's pretty special. And, yeah.
But I used to be able to play Walk the Line and a couple others. And, yeah, I've forgotten how to do it over the years. I can still do the intro for Ira Hayes because that one's real easy. It's just 2 open chords.
Oh, I'm going to release a song pretty soon. I think. I don't know which one's going to be. I need to do Coyotes.
Or not Ira Hayes. It was Johnny Yuma. Johnny Yuma is the one. Jeez.
Johnny Yuma was a rebel. That one?
No, the Johnny Cash version.
Yeah.
He came in like a restless wind. Yuma was a name.
Okay, yes, 2 Johnny Yuma.
Going like a July snow, following the sun, man. Better watch his right hand. He's gonna be a rebel till the Wild West is tame.
Because he does 2. Because he does another Johnny Yuma, Johnny Cash does. That is actually the tune to John Wesley Hardin. Oh,
yeah, this one they did for the TV series Johnny Yuma.
Yeah, yeah, and he did a couple, but that tune is actually written by Steve Earle. Hardin Wouldn't Run is what it was called. And Johnny took it and turned it into, I think, Yuma, but he rode in like a southbound wind and he took the eastbound train. Going with Jane Bowen till the lawmen caught up. So long, Janie, cheer up, I'll be back again. Off he went to Huntsville prison, so long, Janie cried. 14 years she waited till her heart broke and she died. So, because Hardin wouldn't run. Yeah, that's a good one. Hardin Wouldn't Run is.
But my absolute favorite Johnny Cash kind of historical based one is the one on Jesse James.
Which one? Because he has an entire album.
Right? Yeah. God dang it. The one that's in the movie that he was in.
Yeah. Just the regular ballad.
Yeah, Ballad of Jesse James. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the Ballad of Jesse James.
I'm having a brain fart.
Jesse James, Ballad of Jesse James.
Jesse James was a man.
Jesse James was a man with blood on his hands. His older brother Frank shared the blame. All the bankers were afraid, 'cause they say the farmers prayed for the outlaw brothers Frank and Jesse James. Jesse had a wife to mourn
for his life.
Two
Children, they were brave.
Yeah, had three. Robert Ford caught his eye and shot him on the sly, and they laid Jesse James in his grave. It was on a moonlit night when the stars were shining bright. He robbed the Glendale train. All the folks from all around, they all said without a doubt, it was robbed by Frank and Jesse James. Jesse had a wife to mourn for his life. Two children, they were brave. Robert Ford caught his eye and shot him on the sly, and they laid Jesse James in his grave. Well, the people held their breath when they learned of Jesse's death, and they wondered just how he came to die. It was little Robert Ford, one of Jesse's men, that shot Jesse James on the sly. Jesse had a wife to mourn for his life. Two children, they were so brave. But that dirty little coward that shot down Mr. Howard has laid Jesse James in his grave. I love that song. That's one of my favorites.
I think if you get Arthur Morgan drunk, he'll sing that song.
Yeah, yeah, he does. Yeah.
Oh my!
There's a great bunch of YouTube videos that they've been doing AI and having Arthur Morgan singing, some of the old songs, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Some of them.
Well,
Yeah, they got Dutch Vanderlyn singing "Country Roads."
Yep.
I'm probably gonna let you guys go. I'm freaking tired.
All right, we'll catch you later.
Have
All right,
fun,
we'll
guys.
hang out for a little bit. See you, Snapper.
All right, guys. Hey, it was fun seeing everybody. Thank God
Yep.
we finally got back together. It's been like forever.
It
See
has.
you guys in the
Take it
next one.
easy.
See
Good night,
you guys
guys.
later.
Bye.
It's just us, dude. We can't sing because we got a delay.
Well, it comes in perfect on my end.
Oh, Molly, it's for your sake alone. I leave my whole family, my house, and my home. I think I got the wrong tune there.
There's one of those that I really like, but I ain't gonna sing it while Mama
Yeah,
would.
you better not sing that one. I know which one you're thinking of.
Actually, there's a couple of them.
Yeah.
One on the boat.
Cruel, cruel world must I go on.
on.
Cruel,
Cruel world I'm living on.
I've been living too fast. I've been living too long. Cruel world, I'm gone. This big old world sure got me running round. I heard a voice that told me, settle down. With the moonlight as my guide and this feeling deep inside, I know now I'm homeward bound. Desert roads, desert plain, I have seen so much pain. Now I see into the eyes of a girl. No more cruel world. Cruel, cruel world must I go on. Cruel, cruel world, I'm moving on. I've been living too fast. I've been living too long. Cruel, cruel world, I'm gone. Better put that down. We're going to get a copyright claim. Oh, yeah.
Well, I can kind of play that, Coyotes. I've been working on that intro part, but I ain't real good at it.
Yep.
I don't even know if I can hear it on here, to be honest.
Soylent Green said that's one of the most emotional moments in Red Dead Redemption 2 when you're John riding with that song playing after all that has happened. Yep, I love that song. Oh, I'm having fun tonight. Wish I had a guitar pick and a good guitar that was tuned.
Yeah.
This thing takes an hour to tune it.
Let's see. I think my favorite song from the Red Dead series is Dead Man's Gun.
I have to stop and think because that's a slow one they do in the swamp, right? When he that's the one when he learns he has tuberculosis, right?
No, that's from the first Red Dead Redemption.
Okay, so how does it go? Because I remember it.
Oh, God. Hands upon Dead Man's Gun and you're looking down the sides.
Yep.
Your heart is worn and the strings are torn and they've given you a reason to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not gonna take what they've got to give, and you're not gonna let them take your will to live because they've taken enough and you've given them all you can give, and luck won't save them tonight.
That's pretty good.
Giving you a reason to fight. That's all I can remember out of it.
I'm going to be in the minority that says I still like number 1 better than number 2. I like the story a little better.
Yeah. I like it all. I like number 2 because it was a bigger story. It was more to do.
Yeah.
A couple things that I didn't like, and then it didn't kind of line up with the first one, but I mean, in reality, they flow together.
Yeah.
And really, I wish they'd have been made in order.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that, is like, played the first one, John Marston's, favorite character out of that. But in the second one, it's like, I didn't like John Marston as much in the second Red Dead Redemption as I did.
That might be why I didn't like it so much,
Yeah.
Well, John was more mature in the first one, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's younger and, kind of, not real bright. But Arthur isn't real bright in some regards either.
Well, that's true, but Arthur's loyal. That's the thing.
Yeah. And see, Arthur's kind of that, he's the go-getter, the get-her done, the enforcer, if you will.
Yep. I don't know. There's something about the way he goes out in the end of the first one that I like a little better than the tuberculosis death.
Right.
And I guess in neither of them you get the job done. But the one thing that gripes me is I just feel like I should be able to kill Micah in about any stage in that game over and over and over. Let's just not break him out of jail and see how this goes.
So one time I was playing as Arthur, and just before you do that stagecoach robbery with him, when he's up there in the hills outside of Strawberry, you can go up on the hill above him, and just for giggles and grins, I threw a stick of dynamite down there into his camp, and it blew up, and it blew him across the thing, but it didn't kill him. Left a big old blood stain and everything, and it's like, now he gets on his horse and runs away like a little coward.
Soylent Green wants to know he still wants to know if they ever found Gavin. That's kind of a little bit of deep lore right there.
Gavin, have you seen my friend Gavin?
Oh, well, you play it through once, and then the second time you do all that stuff. Hunting the vampire, that was one of the funnest parts for me.
Yeah, that was fun.
Did the serial killer, that one was okay, but I don't know. The game itself is really good. I gotta tell you, my favorite character from 2 has got to be Dutch. We had a plan, Arthur. Arthur, we had a plan.
Stay with me.
The plan. Stick to the plan, Arthur.
Now remember, John, when the time comes, you got to run. Don't look back. This thing is over.
What do you mean, Arthur? This thing ain't over, Arthur. Jay Wheeler's laughing out there. Yeah. I mean, this is the point of the chat. We haven't done one for a long time, so Duke and I are just hanging out.
Yeah, no, it's
Getting
been a while.
crazy. Arthur.
What's funny is I can do those certain lines, but I can't do Arthur just doing it. I can't
Not
do
the
it,
perfect
but
Arthur Morgan. Arthur Morgan can do no wrong. I can't do him. I can't do Williams anymore. He was easier in the first one when he was standing up there at the fort.
yeah. Morgan.
So agreed. We need more. I can't do it. I can't do it now. I'm out of the Dutch. I'm out of Dutch's voice. Stick to the
We
plan.
need more money. I can't do Dutch very well.
We need more money.
Stay strong. Stay with me.
We need more money. There's over $1 million in that box, and we still need more money. I've seen people do that, put $1 million in the box just to see what'll happen. He still needs more money. Oh, I don't know. That game's something else. I don't know if they'll ever be able to do it again, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, I don't
That's
know.
funny. You look at the names of the gang members, and a lot of those are biblical names.
Well, yeah, a lot of biblical names back then. Their
I
parents
think they intentionally did that straight out of that.
Yep. Well, their parents didn't
Micah,
think they were going to grow up to be in a gang.
because I mean, how common is the name Jose? You never see that mentioned anywhere.
Well, you kind of see it in that era.
I've never seen Hosea.
Hosea, of course, Dutch, but I kind of think Dutch wasn't his real name. I think there was a place in there that I don't remember where they talked about his real name, but
Yeah, I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. Arthur's not a biblical name, but it's a.
No, but Micah, Hosea,
Mhm.
and of course Micah, John. Those are going to be more common. But yeah, Hosea is. That's not a real common one.
Bill. Bill Williams. He just got care. Sadie.
Leonard!
Oh my goodness. Micah. Oh, I'll give you that. I felt the bad guy better in the second one.
Yeah, no, that guy that played Micah did a very good job.
I just feel like Arthur would have killed him if that was story was playing out in real life. Would have killed him a long time before that, but he was not given orders to. So, on Lenny, oh Lenny, favorite part of that game, Lenny.
Apparently,
Lenny,
Sabater
my
thought
boy.
I was Roy for a long time.
Till you saw his name tag. Chief of Outback, Oregon Outbacks. I gotta go, boys. Need to do a couple chores before it gets plumb dark. Great shit tonight. Big fun. Well, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to run and find some Coke because I'm still having the aftertaste of that nasty ass Coke. And
Now, Duke, now I gotta go back and edit.
I let that one slip. Oh boy,
No,
Mama
getting
was
tired.
going to have my hair.
Yep. We better get out of here before we get in any more trouble anyway. So thank you all for coming out and sticking with us until we got all crazy here at the end. And
Yeah, and I had to go and mess it up.
well, at least I know where it's at. Now it won't take me forever to edit it.
There's worse things I could have said. And it is in the King James Version of the Bible.
Getting worse and worse. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.
See ya.